All right, let's see. Okay, start sending us your video. Okay, I'm doing that. I love how they have this percentage that doesn't mean anything. It just counts up and then it just pauses until the operation's done. It's like the fakest progress.
It's like the
bar.
lines at Disneyland.
Exactly. It's a lie. It's a lie.
Oops, shoot.
It's a lying line.
There you go. Sorry, I stopped that. I was playing my good Lord, I look like Hitler.
I didn't even hear anything.
What?
I know that's Dash, man.
That mustache is terrible.
I seriously feel compelled to go buy you a white van. This is free candy on the side. Like, I'm just saying.
It is. Yeah, it's like a pedophile Nazi. It's like it's a.
He's got to trim the edges.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately kind of darker in the middle, so it's got that. Yeah.
Okay, well, this is interesting. So this happens every once in a while. So it says I'm live.
Are we live?
Streamlabs. Oh, am I? Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh, my dashboard still says connect streaming software, even though I've refreshed it like 3 times. But we are live.
It's probably having trouble. It's trying to compress my mustache. That's the problem.
We're super professional here.
We are.
Oh, sorry.
Totally.
Yes, that was our cold open.
We're totes pro, guys. Totes pro. All right, let's see. Okay, so let me get rid of Discord here. Let me arrange all my windows. It's funny. I have 3 50-inch screens, and I still can't figure out how to get the windows laid out right. First world problems. Okay,
need more monitors.
We do more monitors, like more cowbell. Let's see. Okay,
only more expensive.
lot more expensive, right?
Oh.
Okay, it still says connect
have?
streaming software. I have 4 total. I have 3 50-inch screens and 1 37, 34, 37?
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. I like screens.
Have you seen that Samsung The Wall? You seen that?
Oh yeah, where you put in the panels, like infinite resolution. You just keep adding more panels.
Oh my god, it's just
I wonder what the price. That's more for like industrial stuff though, right? Or is that like for commercial or for like home use?
Well, we could make our own Mandalorian. Like we could do literally do like a DIY Mandalorian set where you just put all the screens up and use it for lighting and stuff.
I'll start the GoFundMe tomorrow.
Yeah, could you? That's great.
Be like, we need $400,000 so we can do funny pranks on YouTube.
The Barnacules. No, that's.
Is anybody typing in chat? Is anybody typing in chat?
Oh, yeah, lots of typing.
This is bizarre. Okay, I got to figure out how to fix this really quick, guys. So I'm on YouTube. I'm inside of the event. Chat is not working, and it says that it's not connected and streaming yet. Everything else, including you, say I am. So.
Geek Moto's talking about earthquakes and all sorts of stuff.
Let me see if I can get on the same wavelength as these people. Okay, so I got to go into
Awesomeness Maximus. I like that.
Where is okay? So under live events. Oh, I found another bug. Oh, that's why. Okay, there's totally a bug here. So it creates 2 events, and then it connects to it like clones the event, connects to that one, and then leaves me in the dashboard of the event that doesn't start.
What are you using? What are you using for this now?
OBS Studio. I need to get
OBS.
I need to get rid of. Well, actually, no. This is Streamlabs OBS, but I need to get rid of it because Streamlabs OBS is terrible, and every day I use it, like 3 children die.
You got to get this ATM Mini thing.
Oh, the switcher.
Oh my god, it's great.
Those are pretty
who makes
cool.
it again? Is it who's the maker?
It's Black Magic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, actually, I got a contact of Black Magic. I should hit them up.
It's like the little production box, right? You got like knobs and buttons. You can, that's a pretty.
Oh my god, it's fantastic. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna check into that. I like Black Magic stuff. They make really good stuff.
As long as you're using HDMI, you want to use HDMI cameras, obviously, because that's. I mean, I'm sort of wimping out. I'm sort of using it in a kludgy way, in that I've got one of my inputs is the PC that has a couple of USB cameras on it. So that's.
So
it's
clever.
We got to get you set up something proper. Kludgy. What you need is you need some Camlink 4Ks. So those are my favorite capture card by far because they're tiny. They work every time. They work on every operating system. They work with the inbox drivers, so you don't need any. You don't have to install any fancy software from a third party. It just works.
Right.
Also works on Mac too, because I know that you're like a raging Mac whore and you love Mac so much.
Oh my god, no! I'm done. I'm done on Mac. I'm done. I'm trying to get. I want to set this beast up and then just leave it. Never touch it again because it's driving me crazy.
Well, I hate to tell you, but if you go from Mac to PC, you better get used to touching it a lot because that's that's the one thing Mac's got over PC is at least for the desktop operating system is a little bit more stability. If all you're doing is checking your email and fiddle farting around in Photoshop. At least that's my experience. Some people claim that Windows 10 is the most stable thing ever, and they've never rebooted their computer in like a year. But I call it bullshit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Aux. Well, Aux is you're running your fancy boxes.
Yeah. No, my personal machine is 3 generations old, and I haven't had any issue. I run Windows updates like a champ. I just tend not to fiddle around like Jerry does.
Oh,
I do
that's
like
no fun then. What's the point of you can't fiddle around with it?
I do like pokes in my PC a little bit.
That's the whole point of it, is like poking away at these things.
You know what's funny? It's actually become a little bit of a meme at Puget Systems. Like every time I say something, like I'm getting ready to touch my computer, reinstall Windows or something, I immediately get Puget Systems like tagging me on Twitter, going, "We're here on the phones, ready to support you, sir." Like they just know bad shit's gonna happen.
If this, then that for Barnacles.
Pretty much,
You know what I mean? That's it,
pretty much, because they will never let me live down that I did a BIOS update once on the PC and I lost my entire RAID configuration. I couldn't get everything back. Luckily they took pictures of everything, so I could literally go to the website and download pictures of every page of the BIOS and like put it back in manually. But I thought I lost everything, like because I couldn't figure out the order that the RAID was like set up, and it cleared the RAID when I reinstalled. So all my drives and stuff like just weren't working. I couldn't boot into Windows. I didn't want to reinstall because I had a bunch of stuff on there that I needed, and then I didn't back up like an idiot before I did a BIOS update. Which these are all things that anybody that's ever worked in any kind of computer field for like 5 seconds would know, but I was lazy on every single one, and
they've also made all these mistakes too, like a million times.
Oh God, it's like, what do they call that? Like if you make a mistake once, that's like considered a learning experience, but if you make it like 5,000 times, then at that point it's like it's a phobia or it's something wrong with you.
Isn't it like insanity? Isn't like the
maybe that is
insanity?
expecting a different result, right? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting, and I do that. I totally do that in my life, and it's usually driven by like I'll sit there and I'll just have like a point where I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, I could spend an hour and back up my entire computer, and then if anything goes wrong, I can just restore it, and I won't have a single problem. Or I can save an hour and just risk abso-fucking-lutely everything and put everything on red.
That's it.
And every time I do that, I hit problems. Every time.
Yeah.
But if I do the backup, then I'll never hit a problem. It's like
it's the haste makes waste thing.
It totally is. It totally is. So how has your guys' week been? Have you had a wonderful, fantabulous week, Mr. David?
Good. Oh yeah. Oh God. I was back on set again with my little buddy Guillermo. Sorry, I'm moving my camera around a bit because it's up. Shoot. Aren't you glad we do that setup time?
Well, no. This is setup time. The first hour of the show is setup time every week.
It's I seem to have it rather precariously on my. For F's sake.
Here, while you're trying to fix that, I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna put Dick Butt up. There you go.
Yeah. And talk to Aux. Ask him how his week went.
AuxxZillary, how did your week go, little Huey?
Great.
Tell us about it.
Well, we just yesterday we had not our final walkthrough, but it's like the nitpicky walkthrough with the
tape,
with the builder. Yeah, the tape. Yeah,
where they put a little tape. Like, oh, there's a nick that's size of a pinhole. Nope.
Yeah.
Fix it. Yeah.
Oh,
I love that.
I'm nuts. I'm finding all kinds of weird little so I found I'm in a closet and I'm like, oh, there's a strange little bubble in the paint, right? Like that's weird. Like it happens because they do spray, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
And I'm kind of poking at it, like, oh, that's weird. And I noticed it's kind of soft behind, like the drywall. I'm like, that's weird.
That's not good.
So I call the guy over. I'm like, am I just being weird or is it actually soft here? And the dude like pokes it a little and then stuffs his finger right through it like he's feeling around inside the. He's like making sure it's not wet or leaking in there or anything, but he's like, yeah, that's weird.
So it must have just got some moisture on the backside of it or something and just gooped it up.
I guess so, but now there's like a quarter-size hole in the wall that they're going to have to fix and paint.
What was it? What was it? But how does that doesn't just show up?
Well, there wasn't any moisture back there, and they'll have to cut a square and stuff. I'm sure they'll look a little better just to be 100%.
I've seen that happen before. What probably happened was when they were installing the sheetrock, somebody dumped some water right there, like a little spot of water, and then they sealed it in with the paint and sealer, and so it couldn't evaporate off, and it basically just makes the drywall turn to like mud in between the two pieces of paper. I've seen that before. That's why you got to make sure drywall is like, it's got to be super dry when you install it. Like you don't even want like we wouldn't even, because I used to do it for a living. I don't know if you guys knew that. I used to hang drywall and tape and stuff. With my dad.
No wonder your back hurts.
Oh God, yeah. Don't even get me started on that. Like that is not a job you want to do for your entire life. Let me tell you. But
oh God, yeah.
I remember that we had to keep the drywall like really dry. Like you didn't want to hang drywall if it had like a bunch of moisture built up in it. Like you literally wanted to like cover it up in tarps and keep it as dry as humanly possible. And they usually wouldn't even build during a season where there was a high humidity, just because that would complicate things. And then when the house settles, you get like really bad cracking everywhere. And you're going to get that on your new house anyways. It doesn't matter how good of a job they do, AuxxZillary. It will settle and crack everywhere.
Is it a brand new house? Like a brand new build?
Yeah, new construction. Nice. There's another like walk around after a year because of that. Because it's brand new. Everything's gonna wiggle and move. They're talking about like nails come poking out a little bit.
Which I've never understood, but it does that too.
It'll settle for like 10 years. Like even in my house, I've been here for almost 20 years, and there's still new cracks forming. Like every single seam in the house is cracked. Like it's bad. I got to go through and do a whole drywall pass.
Yeah, but we got a couple.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though. Like the things you really want to check for too. Did you check in the unseen spaces, like the crawl spaces and stuff?
We had an inspector come in through before our walkthrough as well.
Dude, my inspector was so lazy. He didn't look in any of the crawl spaces, and he didn't look underneath. And so after the inspection, I go in there, and there's like nails just like sticking through up like punji sticks. And under my house was like just bags and bags of garbage. Like they literally were just taking all the extra stuff, throwing in garbage bags, and just leaving it under the house. They never even took it out.
We had asbestos. We had like all the asbestos. They'd taken out all this asbestos heating ducts and just put it under the house.
Oh man!
Wow, that's really helping.
And our inspector didn't catch it, and he was like a total nerd. He had like a little robotic camera that went under the house. He couldn't see shit, of course.
That's ridiculous.
I don't even bother anymore. We don't get the inspectors anymore because I don't trust them.
My inspector missed everything. Like they literally just come in and they just expect it to be perfect, so they just come in like look around there. This looks all right. Well, it didn't burn down.
Than they'll ever be. I'm like just way more picky and uptight than any of them could ever be. So I'm like, fine. Look, there's a crack there. $10. I want $10 off the price. Right there.
You're like, don't even fix it. You're just like lower the price.
That's it. That's all I. That's
all. Stove doesn't work. I don't care. I'll cook on the furnace.
Yeah, we're like looking for a house with a pool. I straight to the guy's face said, "Yeah, the pool. I don't know. I'm not sure we need it. I'm not sure we need a pool." My wife's like, "No, but we're looking for a house with a pool." I'm like, "Shh. Oh, no, we're not."
Yeah, right.
So you actually see it as a downside. You're like, "Well, this house has a pool. That's kind of a deal breaker. I want some money."
Yeah, I don't know. I worry about the kid and the dog.
Maintenance.
I'd love to put a fence up. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
When's your move-in, Aux?
The 25th.
Oh man,
you gotta be so excited.
Yeah,
it is really, really cool.
Do you have your own space? Like, do you have a little fan cave there?
So there's like a bedroom downstairs that my lady and I are gonna use as the office. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
you have to share your office.
I get most of the space. She doesn't need a whole lot of work in the area. What is she using
for the office space? What does she do in the office?
I mean, it's just a lot of laptop work stuff.
Right. Okay.
So she does. She works for an elevator company. They do like new construction and repair, and that'd be kind of cool. Can we get an elevator?
I've always wanted an elevator.
They make them jerry rig everything. Zach from Jerry Rig Everything installed one in his house.
Little dumbwaiter would be fun.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the laundry room. I think that'd be great. Just
there's a company. It's at CES. I saw one in Zach and installed one in his house because his wife is paraplegic, so she needs an elevator that can lift her up to the second story. And he literally installed it himself. They make an elevator package that's so easy that you and a friend can install an elevator in your house all by yourself.
It's like an IKEA elevator.
Pretty much. You just cut a big circle in the floor on the second thing, and you just drop down 3 beams and bolt them into the floor, and then this weird glass room just pops in, and you hook it to the wires, and it just goes up and down, and that's it. And it's got a little panel and everything. It looks really good too. When they installed it and put all the trim on it, it looks like it was professionally installed.
Except no one in my family except myself would get in that elevator if I put it in.
It is pretty claustrophobic though. That's the one thing I don't like about those little house elevators is you get in there and it's your face is against the glass. I've even seen elevators in some of these houses that are only maybe less than a meter across. So it's one person at a time. It's bizarre. But this one was a little bigger.
I just want the bat pole. I think that's all I need.
The bat pole.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go to all the trouble of cutting a hole in the floor, why would you bother an elevator? You can just have a nice, brass pole.
That's perfect. I like it.
I actually think a fire pole would be pretty cool.
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, not for me now because it'd probably rip the skin off my hands trying to go down it at 360 pounds. But there was a time.
Yeah.
Where the
and the lawsuits, awesome. whenever there's a play date, we'd have lawsuits as well.
Right. That'd be funny. I go grab the pole, and I just fall down at 100 miles an hour. You see smoke and steam rolling off my hands.
The dog keeps falling past you during the night.
You're just sleeping, and you hear.
Yeah, that's it.
So
Luckily,
mean.
there's a pillow at the bottom.
Oh man, I had an interesting thing happen this week. So I had to get a new washer and dryer because all my appliances decided to mute.
I saw that.
Dude, every appliance I have has a problem with it now. The microwave's like on its last leg. The ice maker in the fridge doesn't work. The water dispenser doesn't work. My dishwasher only turns on if you kick it a bunch of times. Everything decided to die. And then the washer and dryer decided, I've been keeping those on life support for a couple of years now, breaking them open. I even shot a couple of videos of me like literally repairing my washer machine, like changing out parts on it and like fixing the balancer.
Changing the band?
Yep.
The band of the dryer?
Yeah, the band around the front, the seal.
I did that.
Yep, I had to do that twice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, it's a pain in the ass, too. Nothing on that thing's easy to work on. So I finally said, no, I'm going to go get a cheap washer and dryer. I'm just going to get a top-loading washer and a regular dryer and just, be done with it. So I buy it from Costco. They deliver it a couple days later. We clear out the whole back room. They bring it in, they're installed. I'm like, oh man, this is going great. Like these guys are doing an awesome job. They wired the dryer wrong. I don't even know how you do that, but they wired the dryer wrong. They take it in the back room, they plug it in, and you just hear sparks and arcing, and you see flashes coming from the back room. And we like run back there. They're trying to unplug the damn thing from 220, and it like punched it blew a panel off the back of the dryer, like physically blew it off, ripped the screws right out of it and put a dent in my wall, and then the plug just bounced down the wall, burning the drywall all the way to the floor because the plug was red hot. And so I was like, how does this even happen? So they're like, okay, well, our bad. So they said, okay, we have to order you a new dryer. It'll probably take like a week to get here. And we're like, no, because we just cleared everything out of the back room and the living room. We can't even move around the house right now. So now we're like literally just laying clothes around the house, like in various places, trying to dry them, like draping them over the air conditioner because we can't take them outside because it's really smoky and we don't want all of our clothes to be like dried and smoked.
Oh God, this so smoked clothes.
So gross.
Ah, delicious.
So gross. So, and plus my wife has like really sensitive, like sense of smell. So we're like, nope, we'll survive for a week without it. They're like, they'll get us a new one in a week. And then we call Costco and we find out that the installers basically just called Costco and said that it was just a defective unit. So they didn't they didn't admit to their mistake. Like they even told us when they left. They're like, oh yeah, we wired it wrong. That's why it arced and it blew up or whatever. Sorry about that. Our bad. We'll get this fixed. And we're like, okay, we signed the thing. They leave, and then we call Costco, and Costco's like, oh, they just said it was a defective unit and to order another one. I'm like,
yes, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so I sent him a video of the wall that's like all charred, and it's actually got like it looks like you took a gun with no bullet and just fired it at the wall. There's like soot everywhere from the the electrical arc. Just I don't. So I'm
like, gonna have to change the electrical then as well.
I'm gonna have to pull the receptacle and take a look at it just to see if any of the wires on the back are melted. I'm hoping they're not though, because it surprisingly it didn't blow the breaker, and that worried me because I'm like, isn't that what the breaker is supposed to do?
Yeah, that's kind of the point of the breaker.
Yeah, like when things start arcing and it starts smelling like ozone, doesn't that mean the breaker's like, hey, I got a job to do? Like it didn't blow the breaker, and that freaks me out. I'm like, it was enough electricity to physically blow a panel, like a metal panel, off the back of something.
Well, so maybe it was the dryer then, or the washer.
I mean, it could have been, but they told us that they wired it wrong. They're like, oh, we didn't screw down one of the wires enough or whatever, and it like arced and blew off. Well, no, what they actually told us, they said they tightened down the panel too much and it contacted the wires, the little protective panel on the back. But then I looked at the design and I'm like, there's no way that could have happened because like the electrical contacts are like this far nested inside of the dryer, and then they have a domed panel.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, that seems like a bad design.
There's just no way they could, unless they put the panel on backwards and screwed it in, which I think could have been possible. They might have flipped the dome around the other way and screwed it in, so then the dome was pushing against the electrical contacts. But I was like, this is terrible.
That's something I can see myself doing.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny though that like they admitted to us what happened. They're like, oh yeah, sorry, our bad. We wired it wrong. We screwed this thing and it blew up. We'll get you a new one. And then they call Costco and they're like, oh yeah, no, everything's fine. Just defective unit. We just got to get them a new one. No fault here, guys.
They look like the heroes then, I guess. Too.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
We owned up to our problems.
Yeah, and they even told us they called it into Costco and they told them exactly what happened so that they would they'd expedite the order. And we're like, okay, well that's really good of these guys. But then we come to find out that they actually just called Costco and they're like, yeah, no, we did such a great job, but your shitty LG washer didn't work or your LG dryer didn't work.
And hopefully they're not watching now. Otherwise, your entire house will be like burned to a cinder.
Well, the funniest thing was too is like when people do a good job, I like to tip them. Right, a lot of these guys that do manual labor, when I did it, I like being tipped when I did a good job. So they fried the dryer, and my wife, as they're walking out the door, she comes by me, and she's like, "Should I tip them?" And I was like, "Well, they did just blow up our dryer and like put a hole in our wall and didn't tell us about it. Like, oh, they also didn't tell us that the wall took damage." Yeah, they were so nice about it, and I was like, "Yeah, you know what?" I said, "We'll tip them when they come back and install the dryer." When they come back and install the dryer, I'll tip them because I was like, I didn't feel right doing that. That seems like a weird thing to do because they said it was the thing that really made me mad though is they didn't tell me they damaged the wall. So when they were pulling the dryer out, they're like, oh yeah, I heard the panel blow off the thing, but they're like, oh yeah, it's a broken dryer. We'll get this taken care of. And then I walk into the back room like 10 minutes after they leave because I want to look at the socket and see if there's any damage. And the wall is just like charred. I mean, you couldn't have missed it. It's like a spot this big where right behind the dryer where it's just black soot. And then just like a typewriter down the wall, like one of the prongs was just like red hot and was just like burning the drywall all the way to the ground.
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh, and they didn't say that. They were just going to bring another dryer and hope we didn't notice because it's behind the dryer. And I was like, my God. So we had to take a video of that and send it to him. Ugh.
I would test that breaker because that's
I'm going to. What's a good way to test that? Should I just take like 2 knives and just jam them in the 2 holes in the wall?
That sounds good. Yeah.
Just make sure that they're knives that are rated for 220.
Yeah.
I mean, they use 220 for like welding steel, so I'm thinking. But it should have tripped, right? I mean, am I smoking crack here? Like, I'm not an electrician, but like the breaker is designed to like trip before it causes any like permanent damage or burns anything down, right? I mean, isn't that the point?
That's why I wondered if maybe it was the internal to the machine, because it seems like if it was actually in the but it should never get to the point where your wall is.
Right.
It can still start a fire. It just because you need to overload the circuit for it to flip. Like it could just be, sparking up against the sheet metal or something, and eventually, and if it's touching the drywall, it can catch the wall on fire, or or weird flow, especially a dryer. Clean out your dryer, Vince.
Oh, I did. That was the first thing I did.
Fucking house down. Pardon my French, but clean that out. Clean those out.
I just did it. It's like apparently it's like the number one cause of like fires in houses.
Serious business. Clean that stuff out.
You're pulling out handful. You're basically pulling out small sweaters.
What I don't understand is how is there not like a family of squirrels in every single dryer hose?
There may have been.
Oh, because where it exhausts, there's first off, you should have little flaps, right?
Yeah. Mine was jammed open permanently.
Well, and I've seen that squirrel video. I've seen that squirrel video. They're smart enough to figure that out.
Oh, they are? Okay, because I was like, I'm just surprised because like on mine, like my dryer outlet goes right through the wall to the outside. So it's like I can take my arm and stick it all the way through outside and like move my hand outside my foundation. So I'm like, what's stopping a squirrel from like just jumping up, like feeling warm air blowing out of there on like a cold winter's night and just be like, you know what? I'm going to grab my kids and go live up inside of this damn dryer pipe.
Yeah,
or a skunk.
Birds in particular are notorious for that sort of thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing in there though. There was no like rat feces or anything, and I was just surprised that like nothing got in there.
Mine was very clean too. I was amazed.
Weird.
Huh. Yeah.
Maybe the noise scares them off.
Maybe because it's like this high off the ground. Like there's like every single creature should have been able to get in there.
Yeah. Ours is pretty high up, so nothing's getting in ours. Although when we renovated, we found I was joking. It's like Scrit from whatever it's Scritchit or whatever the name that. The mouse, the squirrel from Ice Age.
Oh, Scrat, yeah.
Scrat, that's it. We found Scrat. He was in the wall. He was this little mummified squirrel, and it had a nut. Like it had this, literally
climbed up there and like roasted to death with his little nut.
He must have got drywalled in or something. But yeah.
Oh my God.
But it was literally. It looked like a little. It was like he was like this. And there's like this little, there was like a nut of some sort rotting away beside him.
So he's like, oh my God, this meal's so delicious. I'm going to eat this. And all of a sudden the turbine turns on and just like cooks him in place.
Or I'll hide here until the drywallers are finished.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Aw, poor guy. That's sad.
Luckily, I haven't found any like dead animals that my cats didn't kill in the house. Cause that would be a little creepy. Like if you were like, you bust a hole in the drywall and there's like raccoons and stuff in there, like dead in your walls. Oh, that'd freak me out.
I did this crazy show called it was like where they told you urban legends and one of the urban legends they had was apparently when a bar hit that no smoking zone, when they were like where the government basically came in and said you're not allowed to smoke in bars anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
So everyone moved outside and they noticed this terrible smell, and they only noticed it because there was no smoke. But what happened is a DJ had got like out of his head on something. Gone and hidden between 2 walls and died, like overdosed. And he got
like a human?
A human was drywalled into this bar and had been there for years as a missing person. Whoa. And they didn't notice the smell until the cigarette smoke had left the building.
Wow.
Now I can't remember whether that was true or not, but either way, it's a great story.
Gross.
So yeah, I think it was a Canadian. I think it was like a very, and I think he'd done like ecstasy or something, and then like gone and like hidden in the warm embrace.
He's like, man, it's so warm in here, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh crap! I can't get out.
Yeah. And then apparently that was it. So yeah.
I do know that was like a torture, like back in ancient times. I was watching a YouTube video where they would brick people into a room. So there was a time where that was a capital punishment. Like they wouldn't hang you, they wouldn't drown you. They would literally just put you in a little room and brick and mortar it up.
Just so they could have ghosts later.
Basically, yeah. They were trying to capture ghosts because they thought that they could have them do like, a manual labor on the ethereal plane. But
right.
they wanted them to
great for the
source.
house price later.
Could you imagine that though? You're like, you bust out a false wall or something in your house because you're like, I'm going to expand my room, and just skeleton falls over. Oh, wow. Dude, I'd be asking for a big discount. I'd be going full David Hewlett on that one. I'd be like, I want $100 off at least.
You know what the cleanup on that's going to be? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like human remains. I know that they have to tell you if somebody died in your house before. I don't know. Is that an urban legend, or is there some truth to that?
I think it's only the first owner after it. I think it's after 2 owners. You don't have to mention it or something.
So there is like, okay, well, I mean, I guess that kind of makes sense because if there's a whole other generation of people living there, then I think that would be okay.
We told the guy, because we had a guy who killed himself in the house that we bought, and we bought it off his estate. And because
you better got a good discount. Did you work that for a discount?
Well, that's it. No one wanted. We were literally looking around this place. We're in Point Roberts. We're looking around this place, and the real estate agent, who was like driving us around this giant whale of a car, sort of drives up the street and goes, no, never mind. And she starts to turn around. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. What do you mean, never mind? Because I'm thinking like we're about to see the Amityville Horror House, right?
Yeah.
So. And she said, well, it's just that, it was an unfortunate incident. It was this guy had shot himself on the deck of our house. Oh he was a CFL, he was a football player, and I guess he was struggling with concussion-related depression and stuff. And yeah, he literally died on our front porch. And so of course Jane and myself being British, we're like, okay, so what's the discount on that then?
Yeah, right.
because everyone else in Vancouver is like, if you're going to get sage, you're going to you're going to smudge the house. We're like, no, we didn't smudge the house. That would cost money. We just wanted a discount because, yeah.
I couldn't even imagine. Like, I don't know what I would do, but I think me personally, it's like, I'm not even a superstitious or religious guy, but it's like, I would not want to like move into a house where, I mean, if they died of natural causes, that's fine. Like they died in their sleep or whatever. But like, if it was like a really gruesome, like crime scene, I don't know why, but I don't think I'd want to like live in that house. That's
the thing about being British, though. Like in the Brits, there's not like an inch of land in England that hasn't been drenched in blood in some horrible incident.
I mean,
right?
fair point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair point, I suppose.
So basically, if you're walking around in the UK, you're walking on dead bodies of some sort. Some kind of murdered corpses of some sort. No.
I did watch a, what was it? Was it the Falkland Wars or?
Oh
yeah, I was watching something where it's like they started like building and doing construction over like certain areas that were literally the battlefields where they were like meeting together, and it was just a massacre. And they were starting to like build stuff on that land, and people didn't seem to mind. Like it was like that's a part of history. And
whereas America, it's like they only moved the head.
Yeah, exactly. Like put a thing around it and never ever touch this sacred land. For at least 500 generations. But I guess we have the land to do that. Well, at least we did. I mean, I don't think that's going to hold out forever. But,
we're going to run out of room on that too.
Yeah, because we only have like what 320 million or something here in the U.S. and our land mass is like massive. Like we have so much woodland.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I remember reading this. I don't know how true this might be, but there's like certain places in Britain where they won't even stop construction. If like you'll be digging a basement or something, and they won't stop construction, you'll find dead bodies or clay pots or whatever, and they're like, and it's like everywhere. You don't even stop because it's like so much. It's just everywhere. It's
there's some archaeologists like in the United States like crying, like it's like the Indian with the trash on the ground, like tears rolling down their face. And some British guy's like, I'm installing a swimming pool. Get out of here, skull. Get out of here, bones. T-Rex my ass. Missing link.
Jim Evo says that's why we don't dig basements in the UK.
Well, no, but it's so funny because Jim, actually, hello, Jim. But they have started doing that. Like in London, because the house prices are so expensive, they started converting these these like basements, which are basically cellars. Like they're basically caves, and they're trying to convert them into like, a beautiful wine cellar. But they keep hitting the water table or the sewage system, right? Sure. So they're constantly trying to, or the aqueducts or whatever the hell they've got. No, so
that's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that. So you're getting AuxxZillary so far. You're getting a house. Yep. I'm getting a new dryer. David, nice. You got anything new and fancy on the horizon coming your way?
I've started working again, so I can start spending some money maybe.
Humble
eventually.
Brag.
Once the checks clear, I can actually buy something maybe.
How's that been? I know you messaged me a little bit and told me about some of the odd things that you guys are doing on set.
I should have worn it. I should have worn it today. So they've got you wearing a mask and a visor to go and see makeup and hair, who then ask you to take your mask and visor off so they can do your makeup and hair. But it's this weird kind of like, I mean, some of it's legit, but there's a lot of like COVID theater in play where, and, and a couple of people apparently weren't feeling comfortable. So everyone had to, suit up more and all this kind of stuff. So, but the reality is you say action, everyone pulls off all the actors pull off their masks and start, making out or shaking hands or whatever they have to do in the scene. Right. So it just kind of, but we're being tested every other day.
I was going to ask. Yeah. So, everybody's okay at least. And so,
although the funny thing was my last day was yesterday and they didn't test me. And I was like, well, don't you want to do it for contact tracing? They're like, no, it's okay. I was like, I see. So you don't care if we get it from the set. You just care if we bring it to the set.
Yeah,
that's what you're tracking.
Of course.
So yeah, because we actually they were actually lovely. I talked to one of the women who was running it. Disney has hired this whole team to look after the COVID response. They have whole groups of like 12-year-olds running around with masks and shields and paper clips and clipboards and things and telling people to stay apart, and it's pretty wild. I mean, I wouldn't want to go up to Bradley Cooper and say, you're standing too close. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Come here. Come here, buddy.
Much,
come here.
Exactly.
Bring it in.
Yeah, hey, somebody change the lock on my trailer? Like, I can't get in there.
Well, that's it. And you get in, of course, you get in the trailer, and there's there's a box of masks and hand sanitizer and all this kind of stuff. It's so funny because it's so different. The Canadian production's little less on the free COVID wear. It's like, bring your own mask and make sure you don't wave it around too much. But no, it's amazing. It's the drag is that a big part of being on set is there's a kind of the thing that I like about being on set is you're getting to hang out and like shoot the shit with people and people you don't normally know and people like interesting people who've done lots of movies and stuff. And this one is Guillermo. This is Guillermo del Toro's. Like it's the movie he's doing after Shape of Water, right? So he was absolutely lovely. I got like a little email saying, dearest, would you come and do a little part? And I was like, and I had like a line, but he'd written this silly little scene for me and then for you. Just for me, I know. I was like, yeah. It's I can't give you the background because I'll give something away. But the and then another actor couldn't come in for some reason way back in the day, so I got a better part, frankly. But it's lovely, except that you don't get to hang. Like one of the things I loved about Shape of Water was he'd go like David, you'd sort of come over and I don't know why he's Italian all of a sudden, but
he's always Italian.
He's always Italian. Exactly. It's an accent. And you'd sit down and talk about comic books and movies and makeup effects and just geek out with the guy, right? And you just can't do that now, right? Because he's got a face shield on and a mask, and you can hardly understand what he's saying. And the set is like you come off and on set in different waves of people and stuff. It was just really weird, So, but at the same time. Yeah, it was kind of wonderful.
So you had to do a little bit more acting than usual?
I had to do a fair amount of acting. Hilariously miserable as always. Yes.
I mean, I mean, I guess this is the new world for a while at least, right? I mean, it's going to be weird seeing movies. I wonder if they're going to do a good enough job with the editing and setup that you won't be able to tell that like COVID impacted that production, or if we're just going to see an entire generation of movies come out because of this that you can clearly tell that they had to work around like some kind of COVID related thing.
Well, like Coronation Street, they're all talking to each other from across the room now, right?
Yeah.
Like they're literally having arguments across the room.
That's crazy. I know they had some people like filming in their basement for some stuff too, like literally just setting up a green screen and just doing some things. For
it's called TV Twitch shows. Or YouTube. Like it's like Hollywood's fun. Suddenly, wait a second, we could do this in the basement. It's like like the rest of the world.
Well, I did find out that it wasn't The Hobbit or something like that. There was two characters. Oh gosh, what was it? The two wizards, the dark wizard and the light wizard or whatever. They had a conversation with each other, but they were never ever in the same room together because one was shot on a soundstage in like England and the other one was shot in California, and they merged them together in editing. So they shot one half of it where they just had a person basically reading their lines to them, and then they went to the other spot and did it because the guy couldn't travel because he had another arrangement. He was shooting another movie in like New Zealand. So he couldn't come to California. So they literally just set up a room and a green screen that looked the same. And they had to, you can kind of tell too, like when you watch the movie, you can tell that one of them is like pretty heavily green screened. Like you can kind of see the edge, this is back before they got really good at it. But I thought that was interesting. Could you imagine like acting an entire scene with another character without ever even seeing them? And then you go watch the movie in the theater and you're like, I don't remember having a conversation with that dude for like 15 minutes.
We've done that. That's like sci-fi, right? You're talking to a screen with a guy on it who's already recorded it. You know what I mean? Like,
I never really thought of that. Yeah.
You've never met them. Or even worse, you're the first guy who has to do it. So you're like talking to the script supervisor who's like, look out, they're invading, run,
That's hilarious.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
Imagine how weird it must be for like in the Next Generation, right? There's nobody on that screen.
Yeah,
it's just a wall, right?
Yeah.
It can't be. So they're just Picard doing like the Shakespeare scene with nobody.
Nobody there. Yeah,
it'd be so weird.
It,
or before the stage move,
hardest part,
where they throw themselves around when the ship got hit, and every one of them would go in a different direction. So like when you watch it, the physics were just completely messed up, but then they actually made the stage move eventually, and then they all sway in the right direction now.
Well, that was my frustration. We had like one episode that we shot inside like a giant cube thing for an episode of Stargate, and they actually had it could move. And I was like, really? You spent all that money on making one set move. Why don't you make the freaking puddle jumper move? We're in it every freaking week going like this. Well, of all the things to make move, it's like,
Do you actually have somebody like going left, right, so that you guys don't get out of sync with each other?
Sometimes.
Funny. It's like row.
And it was always like whenever we got hit by something, McKay would go flying, everyone else would be like, he'd be like, oh, come on, guys, can we at least, I look like a freaking Muppet here. I'm flapping around in the background,
Was it ever weird watching your stuff back though? Like after all the editing and everything, did it look completely different than like what you remembered shooting it?
The problem with looking at yourself in any of this, you probably do the same thing. If you ever look at your own streams, you never look at anyone else in it. You look at yourself going like, I don't know if I like
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. When I edit videos for YouTube, I always feel weird sitting there. Like I could edit 800 of them and I still look at myself and I'm like, man, it just seems off.
The worst thing is the voice, honestly. Even though I can get away with I can go like, okay, I look at myself in the mirror. I have to look at that every morning. Fine. But the voice, you're like, oh my God, like, just maybe talk a little lower or something.
Right. Then I find that to be the case. When I hear it back, my voice is higher than what I hear when I speak.
Yeah.
It's
absolutely
weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
There's a trick you can do where you put your hands like this and you talk when you don't have headphones on, and you can basically occlude the sound that you normally hear yourself that loops back really close to your ear, and it kind of lowers your voice a little bit.
It makes you look like a freaking fish the entire time.
You look like a fish, but it's like you ever want to hear like what you sound like to other people.
I'm podcasting. Shut up.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, nerds.
Today on Tech Talk.
Hey, NFG Nader, thank you for the $10, man. I appreciate it. So speaking of Stargate, how does David have? Oh, does David have any props from the show? He accidentally took home. Accidentally, my ass.
You see behind me? Is there? I'll plug it in. Hang on a second.
I want to see a prop from the show. Like, dude, they better have given him like a ZPM or something for his performance, like a functional one.
See this plug.
Okay, let's see. Oh, I see it.
I can't tell where the camera is.
Whoa!
Is that like one of the light panels from Atlantis?
Yeah,
or something?
there's a light sconce that I think it's actually from Universe.
That's cool, man.
I think I've shown this before, but I'll show you guys because I think you might get a kick out of this one. Get
That's
this.
fancy.
Oh, here we go. We're getting the behind the scenes here.
Check this out.
I'm checking it.
So this.
What is that?
It's a bunch of plumbing. But this was the tabletop pieces that they did for the SG-1 launch, TV launch. So they do these like parties to launch a show.
Yeah.
And in the middle of each one of these tables, they have one of these little lantern things with like a battery flashlight thing.
Okay. I see it now.
And so some little nerd had built these little.
Yeah. You can tell it's like a vent facing.
Yeah.
And like a reducer that's like for a dryer hose.
That's it.
Reducer. That's so cool.
And it's like one of those lights you'd put up under a cabinet or something like that. Just like that's
well,
cool.
not even. This is like it's like a bicycle. It's not even a bicycle flashlight. It's like a disposable flashlight.
That's hilarious.
That's being glued in with like the most disgusting looking yellow glue. I don't know if you can see that.
I can.
This isn't even mine. This is Jane's. Jane was at a junket. She used to work for the E network. The E News network. So she used to go to all these junkets and cover them for E. And she also is a total kleptomaniac when it comes to
purse.
Yeah. Well, she steals table ornaments all the time.
That's great.
So she took this from there, and so when I first met her, I was like, "What the hell?" Not when I first met her. This would be later on. When we moved in together, I was like, how did you get that?" And of course, so there you go. Before I even knew her.
Sneaky, very, very sneaky.
I love it.
So that is probably the rarest Stargate thing I have. I can't imagine anybody else would have stolen that back then.
Yeah,
that's actually pretty cool.
If there's another one. I would be amazed if there's another one in existence. And it's literally just electrical tape and duct tape.
Oh yeah, they probably all got destroyed too. Like afterwards, they just threw them in the garbage because they were just like, "Oh, this is a one-shot deal."
Yeah, I'm going to Home Depot and making one, selling it on eBay.
Yeah, I've heard
they just post them.
I've heard that props in even high production movies and stuff, like a lot of the props look shitty close up.
Oh yeah.
Was that the case in Stargate too? Like if you got up like really close on like some of the props, did it literally look like shit, or was it good?
Some of the sets were definitely pretty. I had to learn very quickly not to lean against any wall because they would disappear behind me with my, because they're all styrofoam basically.
Oh wow! Okay.
Because of HD, they had to start filling stuff in better. So like Universe's set, gorgeous and working. Like I wouldn't be surprised if that thing just took off and left the studio. It was like just like little mechanical things going and stuff. Like it was gorgeous. Stargate was Atlantis was all the inside of boxes, spray painted the Atlantis colors. So if you look, freeze any frame in a hallway, and you could probably go like, oh, that's a carburetor box, or that's a box. You could actually be like a good drinking game. Would be to try to figure out what the things were that are in the on the wall. But the props themselves, they spent so much freaking money on them. They were gorgeous. Oh. Like to the point where like my personal shield, the little turtle of power that I had, it actually had a whole thing where it had we had a magnet built into a shirt so that it would automatically like attach.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And light up when you did that.
Nice.
That's cool.
So, like even just that little detail, like the Zat guns would actually go and like open up and like glow. It was like they were amazing. But yeah, the sets themselves, it was like, I guess just from an expense standpoint, it was just so much to try to fill up that much studio space. And then we took the Blade set, the Blade 2, I guess. Yeah, it was the one Guillermo did, I think. Had a gorgeous set that they built, and we bought it for like $1. and they repurposed it for Atlantis. So
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's funny all the things you identify though when you watch the shows, like when they do what they call it, kit bashing. Where they take all the stuff and they just glue it onto the surface. It's like when you're watching Alien, you see like the Nostromo flying by, and it's like, I recognize that. That's from a P-41, Mattel kit. Yeah. Oh, that's from another kit. Oh, that's a P-38 lightning gun. Like, it's pretty cool. That
stuff, though.
That's cool.
But honestly, I would say the cosplay stuff sort of forced Hollywood to up their game, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because all of a sudden, people are making nicer stuff than what was actually on set. Or
it's like me. I 3D printed the Stormtrooper suit, and the comment that I got the most from like the 501st when I went there is they're like, "Oh man, this would be like an A suit." And I'm like, "What is that?" They're like, "That'd be the one that's like shown close up, or what do they call it? The hero prop or whatever." They're like the suits that when you see them running, when you see Stormtroopers running and stuff, those are all just like cobbled together, hit with rattle can, like because you can't tell from a distance with the camera. Now with 4K you can, right? So
I heard that's it. 4K is the killer, right? Where they start like they used to like just put like newspapers behind you on the wall and stuff to give you a sense of texture. Because now you can read the newspapers.
It's crazy. And durability sucks too. I've heard on a lot of the sets. Like I was watching a bloopers reel from Star Trek Into Darkness. And I was like losing my shit at like how much stuff was breaking off when they were just touching it. Like the whole blooper reel was like they get into the like elevator through turbo lift. They get in, they grab the handle, and the handle just busts off the wall.
Yeah.
And then like a prop dude runs over really quick and just like takes some double stick tape and sticks it on the back of it and just jams it back on the wall.
All the time.
Yeah,
all
and they're like
time.
already shooting again. Like within 30 seconds, it's like they're going another round, and you're like, wow, that was happening all the time. Like Kirk backs up against a wall and he just barely bumps it and it knocks a panel out. Like of the wall. I'm like, oh my god, this stuff's like put together with like paper mache, and they're all laughing because you can tell from their demeanor it happens all the time.
Well, and it's because the sets are think about how you're basically building buildings as cheaply and as fast as possible, right? Because the biggest cost, more than the actual components themselves, is the labor involved, right? So as long as it's not going to fall down and kill somebody, that's all that is the only thing that's required. You don't want to kill Chris Pine. That's your only that's your only thing.
Tom Simpson, the Ori staff looks like it was made of fake rubber dog shit.
Well, and probably because back then they were filming on film, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They did so
480p.
You can get away with murder on that stuff. You know what I mean? Like absolutely.
That is hilarious.
And makeup. That's the other thing. Is we were talking about this the other day, where you're getting into the digital makeup stuff, because because I don't even know how anyone puts anything on anyone's face anymore. Like it's just, I mean, it's like it shows up right away as soon as you can see the difference.
Well, it's like you used to need dots for facial tracking and stuff now, and it's like the computers are so fast now you don't even need that. Like my cell phone can make me look like a freaking monster and track me in perfect real time. So I'd imagine that on sets now, it's like I understand like with Andy Serkis and stuff, they probably still need the dots and all the motion cap to get it perfect. But it seems to me like for like TV production and stuff like that, where it's not like crazy levels of production, it seems like you could like do a lot of digital stuff with like no face cams, no dots, no tracking stuff, nothing. Like you could literally just do like AI based rotoscoping, where it's basically just determining your face and distance and everything, all just from a 2D camera.
Have you seen that AI stuff? It's amazing, because if they can get AI to master that digital rotoscoping stuff, oh my god, even what's available in After Effects now. I'm amazed at the stuff, or the Red Giant tools and stuff. Like they got tools there that'll just do most of this stuff for you. You just go in and just do a little bit of cleanup.
Yeah. The coolest thing that I've seen in a long time was they found some old footage from like I think it was like 1913, 1914 of New York City. And it's this old film, like really, really old film. It's really dirty, like they played. It just looks like shit, right? Like nothing's in focus. Lots of damage to the film. So you see more dots and black spots than you do actual film. And they ran it through this AI tool that's an open source tool that's available on GitHub. This was actually one of those. It was like a TED paper thing. And I'm watching, and they ran it through this AI thing for like 48 hours using like a modern computer with GPUs. And they play it back, and there's like no noise. It's 4K resolution. You can see like the people's faces are like really sharp. Their eye features and everything. The stuff they're carrying that you could not even identify is like perfectly rendered. And you're like, how like I'm looking at the original footage, and I can't even really tell what that's supposed to look like. And the AI still makes a determination and does it. And it looks
that's like the GPUs, right? The GPUs are doing that now. Aren't they using that kind of that way of creating lower res images that the AI then responds by up-resing?
DLSS?
DLSS. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I mean, basically do the same thing with old film. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
They're basically doing. I think that's for like video games where you're essentially upscaling 1440p to 4K.
Right.
But yeah, they there was a movie just recently came out where they about World War One. I think
we were heroes or something.
That's it. Yeah, something like that. Or they
I wanted to see that.
I haven't seen it.
It's
but yeah, they did
so
that.
Weird.
They ran old footage through a like AI interpolation. What I don't know the right words and stuff, but they and cleaned it all up, colorized it, and that's
well. They also recorded re-recorded the dialogue with people from those various different areas, and looped it so that you're not hearing the specific people, but you're hearing the right dialect and the right kind of voice for all this stuff. It just sounds. I mean, I got to see that.
Here, I'll put a link in chat to this thing. It's called, I think this is the one. It's called Vapor Synth. And here, I'll put the GitHub link. And there's another one that you can use for like cartoon stuff and animation called Waifu 2K, which is a resolution doubler that basically takes like cartoonish stuff and turns it into vector graphics and then upscales it.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's crazy how well this stuff works, though. And it's like, it's a lot different than the stuff you have in TV. Like TV upscaling is like, take the 1080 picture, basically stretch it out and then do some like interpolation and stuff to smooth out edges. And it's doing it in real time. But when you're doing the AI based stuff, it's actually going through and like learning and comparing it to the model that it was trained off of. So it's taking a whole bunch of pictures from the video, going through and watching it over and over again, and then creating a better version, and then using that better version as the keyframe to create a better version. And it's basically like in the old movies where it's like enhance. It's like that. It's like you're literally creating a slightly better picture and then using that as the foundation to create even a better one, until eventually you get to the point where it starts creating a product that looks unrealistic, and then you back off a couple notches and you got it.
Well, is this the software that they're using where you can like draw like a stick figure? Like you draw like a really simple person and it will figure out how to turn that into an actual
but I have seen that. I saw that. That was a tech paper on that. Yeah, you can literally just draw. I saw that. Like you draw something that looks like a lake and a tree and like a stick figure, and it renders it as like some island.
As a Van Gogh or something.
Yeah, it's crazy. It looks real though.
It's Gauguin. Or no, they've upgraded it now. Nvidia. No, that's something else. Gauguin, where it's like you draw in Paint, essentially like MS Paint, and it uses the AI to make it look real. Yeah, I'll post it in the chat.
It's like
super cool.
I mean, you talk about like things being indistinguishable from magic. Could you imagine like 100 years ago someone drawing a picture and then it coming to life on a screen like that?
You'd be instantly killed. You'd
be burned at the stake in a second. It's true. You would be built into a room in no time at all.
Like literally, while you were showing them the demo, you would already be on fire. Like you'd be like, "What's happening? What's happening?"
That's right. They'd set you on fire and brick you into a room.
Right, Nigel. Thank you so much for the 10 pounds, man. He said, "The three of you are now the highlight of my week. Love it. Keep it going, dudes." Oh man, no, this is great. This is great. We don't want to let David like know that we love him too much though, because then he'll have all the power in the relationship. So we want to make sure we leave him right at the edge of like thinking he's loved, but he doesn't really know. Like we got.
So it's like dating.
It is. We're playing psychological games.
I can't be invited back for like 2 weeks now. Because
exactly. You have to call first. You have to wait at least 2 days.
To be fair, I don't think you invited me this week. I think I just showed up this week.
No, I just been telling everybody that you're the new co-host. And when you're not here, it's just you're on vacation. So
we should tell my wife that though. That was our argument this morning. Was like, you're what? I was like, yeah, no, I'll be like podcasting for want of a better word, but layman's terms. And she's like, oh, will you? Okay, so.
It got like passive aggressive really quick.
It got a little, yeah. It was it's been because I'm working. When I'm working. I literally I can't do anything, nothing else. Like I was getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be on set by like 6. You're getting home at like 7 or 8 at night, and you're so freaking tired at that point that you're not even making any sense. Yeah. And you got to be up at 5 o'clock the next morning. So it's like I'm like the agreement is generally I check out when I'm shooting. I basically check out, and but that can be. Jane's not feeling terribly great, so I think that's probably had
that changes things a little bit. Definitely. Yeah. Hey, Pup, thank you for the super chat, dude. He said, "What about AI audio enhancement, where it uses voice recognition and natural speaking to recreate the audio to remove whatever background noise?" Oh, you're talking about RTX voice? Yeah, that stuff's voodoo, man.
Have you guys been hearing my keyboard at all?
I don't know.
Are you using it right now?
I mean, I've been typing in chat quite a bit. Hello.
Oh yeah, we can hear it. You don't have RTX really enabled.
Well. You
gotta change your audio source.
Oh, maybe the YouTube might.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you're too clean. Your audio is too clean to be using RTX voice.
That was the worst ad for RTX voice I've ever seen.
It was like, do not buy this.
You are not gonna believe this.
Like, look, you can hear the wind blowing.
Okay. Look, even if I was snapping my fingers, you wouldn't hear a thing.
Our RTX voice is pretty amazing technology. Like, and the cool thing is, like, you don't even need the next generation hardware. Like, Nvidia said you'd need the next generation hardware, but you didn't. You can actually just use like a 1080, for instance, like the old, like 2 generations old now, right? And it works just fine. But yeah, it's like real-time audio removal from the background because it can differentiate between a human voice and anything that's not a human voice. And it's even context sensitive. So like the better your microphone is and the closer you are to it, the easier it can cut you out from the background noise, even when they overlap in like frequency. Which most noise reduction, you have to either say like cut the stuff above the human range or below the human range so you can get out like low hums. This is using AI to make decisions. It's like you can literally cut out another human voice that's standing at a distance behind you. Well, it's still perfectly picking up yours. because it's making this determination when it's listening to you from like volume and the frequency of your voice and stuff. It's able to just figure other things out and be like, this doesn't belong, cut it out. And it does a pretty.
I wonder how annoying the AI
job.
thinks our voice is.
What's that?
I wonda how annoying the AI thinks our voice is.
Oh, probably massively. I'd imagine it's already training itself to like kill us all, like kill all humans. but I love the technology.
They're so annoying. I just want to cut them out.
Yeah, but the thing is, Nvidia's doing it with video now. They've already got the toolbox out. What is it in beta? The one where it cuts out your background?
Oh, yeah.
So they already have that in things like Zoom and stuff. And basically what it's doing is edge detection on you against the static background. Yep. So basically it learns as you're moving that like anything that's not moving is background, and then it just cuts it out. But the thing is, you always get this weird effect where it's like really grainy around you, and you can tell it's like worse than a green screen, right? Nvidia's like figured out a technology that uses RTX that can actually cut you out of a background just like you're against a green screen in real time. And it's supposed to, like, when they're done with it, they're claiming it's going to be flawless because it's going to be using the tensor cores on the RTX cards to basically, in this neural network, to not just cut out the background of what's still, like, things could even be moving in the background. It could potentially cut it out away from you. So,
well, that's the holy grail for the compositing stuff, too, right? If you can get a really clean key like that, that'd be amazing.
And the nice thing about that is, like, you usually get lighting artifacts from a green screen. It is really hard to light a green screen without getting that glow on you. But
just use black.
Exactly.
I just use black backgrounds now. It's just easier.
Yeah, AuxxZillary, I think you got RTX voice on now.
Yep.
Although your audio level's like really low now. Can you bring it up at all?
Like I'm really quiet?
Yeah, you're really quiet.
Is this better?
Much better. There, now do the typing demo. Like start mashing.
I'm maxed out. Okay. I'm just gonna start I'm gonna type in the chat now.
So you can't hear his keyboard, can you?
That's pretty amazing.
Clack.
Yep. Like clap. Wow. Do this.
And
isn't that crazy?
No.
And my keyboard is 3 or 4 inches away from the mic. Like my microphone is right above the keyboard.
What if you make clicking noises with your mouth? Will it stop that?
It does actually. Yeah. It does do a pretty good job.
It cuts it off a little bit.
It's so weird that it knows how to do that.
If you're making duck noises or whatever that is, it just cut all that out.
It literally cut out a fart. I farted on stream once, and they cut out a fart because we wanted to see if and it did. It actually cut out the fart.
That would be worth. That's worth a fortune right there.
That picked up, but the clapping, like put your hands in front of the camera and do this. Like that's what makes. Now talk while you're doing it.
I'm talking while I'm clapping. RTX voice. Woo, yay!
That's bizarre, isn't it? It's like people really that video went hyper viral. I even posted a little clip on TikTok, got like 1 million views in like a couple days.
I love it. I love that one. You got your AC going. He's got a blower, the vacuum, and like it's
like
nuts.
right up against me. I have an actual leaf blower, a Dyson vacuum, and I'm holding them both with a huge fan blowing at me on the floor. And all you hear is, "Hey guys, I can't hear nothing." And then I turn on RTX, and it's just like, "Hey guys, how's it going? Can you hear any of these things in the background?" It's like perfectly filtered out.
Wow.
It just blew people's minds. Well, it blew my mind because I was trying to create a situation that there's no way I could win, and I failed. It actually still worked. I was like, "Wow, this is friggin' amazing."
Well, just imagine what you could do if you're actually now like a sound shop of some sort. If you're doing post-production sound or anything, being able to take planes out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, planes are the bane of everyone's existence on any kind of location shooting are these freaking planes. And you're effectively stopping for them all the time, or like trucks backing up or whatever. You'll just be able to just stick the RTX on it. You have it done. Has anyone got the 3080 yet? Anyone picked it up?
No. Good luck getting one. That's actually one of the topics today.
I mean, I've seen them in person, but it's not mine. Yeah, not a Founders Edition. It was the Gigabyte XC version. Yeah, that worked.
Is it generally better to get the aftermarket, not the aftermarket, but the non?
I would not try to get first release product ever
at all. Ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait until next year. Honest to goodness. Let all these nerds who want to be bleeding edge for 6 months deal with driver issues, weird manufacturing problems, even from the third party partner cards. Yeah. Just wait. But otherwise, I'm a big fan of EVGA. Their stuff is usually pretty tip top.
Yep.
And the Founders Edition stuff direct from Nvidia. Yeah.
Because you figure then they've had more time with it. They've got any of the sort of the design bugs out of it as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah, as long as you're not overclocking, I think that it's a safe bet to get like a founder's card. But usually the aftermarket ones all overclock better. They all have better cooling systems.
Oh yeah, they'll be boosted a little from the factory, even. And so yeah, but again, I'd wait. First off, let all these nerds figure out the weird issues. There's going to be manufacturing problems. There's going to be just supply issues. Like they said they've been manufacturing. Yeah. They claim they were manufacturing since August, and then they sold out like instantly. So like whatever.
Didn't someone look at the source code of the web page and discover that it actually said it was pending as opposed to actually having sold out?
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, they just made it look like they were sold out so fast.
Yeah, I don't know.
There was no delay this time either, right? Like, didn't the third parties get to release their cards at the same time? Or did the founders still get a jump on them? Because I went and looked on Newegg, and it's like they list all the third party 3080s as for sale right now.
Yeah.
So, but they're all sold out.
I saw that.
Of course, they're all sold out. But one of the topics that I want to talk about here, let me call out a couple of these super chats just to get caught up here. Mac, thank you for the $5. He said, the 1900 film, there's an open air limo with a family. They were able to identify the people in it and what happened to them. This is from like the 1900s video.
Oh, wow.
That's been resurrected with AI, where you couldn't even tell. Like, all you know is these are human beings, and the AI still figured out how to salvage enough information so you could see their face and their expressions. So weird. Like, it doesn't even make sense to me. Hey, Wendy, thank you so much for the $5. We appreciate that. Nick, thank you for the $5. He said, watching Tech Talk 2.0 has become what I considered a relaxing Saturday. He said, if it was later, I'd have a beer, but coffee works too. Hey, if you want to have a beer early, I won't tell. Go ahead. Get your beer on. There, look at that. Right there. Got some screwball.
I think I finished my coffee. I may have to go back for more. Oh, there's a little bit left.
I don't know. Let's see how I'm doing. I think I'm down to my last 2 drinks here.
My coffee ended an hour ago.
I think I may have to get a coffee machine down here, which just seems the epitome of laziness. And we have like one on every floor then.
That reminds me when I used to have a mini fridge up here that had like a bunch of sodas and drinks in it and stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, and I had a coffee machine. I had one of those little Starbucks, you just push the button and it just makes you a coffee. Like you fill the beans, push a button, coffee comes out. And I had that for like the longest time. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, this is really unhealthy. Because I don't leave this room. I come up and just sit down.
I'm drinking 50 times as much coffee.
Exactly, and everything's within like 5. Oh yeah, and half the fridge was filled with like Rockstar energy drinks until I got like 2 kidney stones, and I was like, yeah, I don't want those no more.
You got to be careful about that.
Yeah, I got to watch out with the kidney stones. That's something.
Wait a second, you get kidney stones from Rockstar drinks? What was the sugar or something?
It was dehydration from all the caffeine and all the other stuff that they put in them. If you don't drink a ton of water with them, some people develop kidney stones, and like we found out that's exactly like I got 3 kidney stones over the course of 2 years, and we linked it to energy drinks. Yeah, and as soon as I stopped drinking them, I was fine. Like I haven't had a kidney stone in 8 or 9 years, and that was after because I was drinking them like every day. I drink like 2 of those. Are they 32 ounce? The big guys, the tall boys,
something like that.
24. They're 24 ounce, and I drink 2 of those a day. And then suck down a bunch of coffee with it. Like I was super caffeine nut back in the day.
Yeah.
And this is my caffeinated Soylents.
God,
I was drinking the coffee Soylents there for a while.
Those. I never tried
it's a meal ago.
It's good. They're great. I liked Soylent quite a lot.
Me too.
I'd get the bags of the chocolate, the cocoa, and mix it into my coffee, and that was breakfast.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, I tried the Soylent diet where all you did was live on Soylent, and I made it one week, and I got like the raging shits, and I was like, whoever said this was a good idea is dumb.
Yeah. Nobody said that's a good idea.
Well, the founder of the company did. He's like, oh yeah, you live on this stuff. I've been drinking it for like 6 months.
There's a difference between you can and do you want to.
That is true. Well, I can tell you, I did the experiment for you guys. You do not want to drink nothing but Soylent because then you'll poop nothing but Soylent.
I love the idea, though. Like, I just love the idea that instead of having to eat something, you can like pop a pill or just drink one thing. Like, I love that concept. As a nerd, I just love that.
There's actually really good research about rats living on a pure, like a non-caloric, pure nutrient diet, where they're just provided all of the right minerals and nutrients and stuff that they need to survive without any of the like calories, right?
Right.
They live like extraordinarily longer. Because like it's less effort on your body. If it's just your body can just make use of the nutrients as it comes in. It doesn't have to break it down or do anything extra to it. It just it's freely available.
That's what I want.
And you just live. Yeah, well, and I think that's where some of these like food supplement kind of things are going, Soylent and the like.
Well, that's it. And imagine also just the waste. right? I mean, not only it would be better for you, and you're not. There's not all this mass. There's not all this. I mean, the idea of like having like these just a bunch of little pills. Send me the link. I'll try that one. I'll experiment on that.
Right?
I don't know. I'd miss food too much. Like I think I eat more for sport than I do actual nutrition. So that's probably part of the problem. But at the same time, it's like I really enjoy food. Like when I eat, I don't want to eat something. Like if I'm starving, I'll eat anything. But I like having the choice. I like being like, oh, that sounds tasty. That's a decent meal. So what they need to do? Oh, I got it. No, I fixed it, David. All you need is the pill with all the nutrients, and they just have to add like a little oxycodone in there with it. And then you get all the dopamine of the food without any of the food. Yeah. There you go.
Well, and also for me, it's like it's one of those like I can quit drinking, I can quit smoking, I can quit all these things if it's an easy off and on. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But when it comes to food, that's so tough because it's not about quitting it. It's about trying to find the right. It's such an effort to find the right things to eat. If I could just go like, okay, my discipline is just I take these 6 pills every 5 hours or whatever, I could do that. Yeah. Like I feel like I could commit to that. But anything else, that was my hope with the Soylent. Was like I'll just do the Soylent, but then I started doing the Soylent and the meals, and then as a snack I'd have another Soylent.
That's what killed me was Soylent wasn't very filling. Like I would take it, and I knew that I had completed like, okay, this is breakfast, but I would get to work an hour later, and I'm hungry. I felt hungry.
Yeah, me too.
And so like the other option there is to like mix it into like a bowl of oatmeal or something heavy like that to fill you and get that trigger without.
What about that bulletproof coffee thing where they're drinking like coffee and eating butter and stuff?
I don't know. I did that for like a couple weeks.
Did you do that? Yeah.
Yeah, because I love coffee. Coffee is
me too. I like live on it. That's right. Yeah, coffee is life.
I didn't really notice much difference. Maybe I didn't give it long enough of a test, but for like a week or so.
What are you supposed to be noticing?
I think it's supposed to keep you full and like a little bit of a energy boost, better than like on top of the coffee.
So it's like diet pills. They just basically amphetamines. You're basically just like telling your body you're not hungry anymore.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the goal, is to suppress the appetite, the hunger feeling, while giving you like jacking you up.
Yeah. Caffeine also suppresses hunger. Like caffeine, any kind of amphetamine. Like that's one thing they tell you. Like when they put me on Adderall, they're like, "You're going to lose a bunch of weight," and I'm like, "Joy!" And then I gained like 10 pounds. They're like, "You're weird," but it's like you're supposed to lose weight because it does kill your appetite. Like
that's what I don't like about the ADHD meds. Yeah. Is I just find that's why I stopped taking a whole bunch of them, because I found I was like.
Yeah, you'll wake up, you won't eat, and then you're just when it goes out of your system, you're starving to death.
Oh my god, yeah. Then you're like binge eating.
Yeah, it's like I'll eat like a steak and mashed potatoes at like 2 a.m. right before I go to bed, and that's like the only meal I eat the entire day. But it's like 5,000 calories because I'm starving so bad. Yeah. So what I have to do now is when I wake up in the morning, before I take my my Adderall for the ADHD, I usually eat something, like, because if I don't, then only like this morning I took it first because I was so tired, and all I could eat was like 3 bites of my oatmeal. And it's like,
really?
I'm not the type of person that would like just leave food in a bowl. But it's like whenever I take the Adderall first, within a half an hour, I'm like, I look at it, it's like I have a hard time physically eating because my body does not want it. Like you feel full. And you'll feel like that for about 8 hours. Like I probably won't eat lunch. I probably won't eat again until like 4 or 5 p.m. my time. But then when it wears off, you're starving. Just starving.
Right.
Hey, NFG Nader. Thank you for the super chat. He said, I thought I heard that Bulletproof Coffee guy wound up with diabetes. Is that the case? I hope not.
No. Did he? No.
Oh, man. Don't get the beaties.
Let's
no beaties.
Bulletproof Coffee, diabetes. Benefits of butter coffee There's some talk about benefits. So
it's like the guy that came out with keto died, right? Like of some heart disease or something. Like
wasn't it like the Scarsdale guy? Didn't he like? He died too, didn't he? That Scarsdale
it seems like everybody that comes up with a diet ends up like dying later on. It's like, okay, is that really a good diet anymore? Like, should we be considering that?
Yeah, we
and one of them like murdered his family or something.
Oh Jesus! I hope that's not the case.
Well, probably he's just so freaking hungry. He's just so hangry.
He's
like,
so hangry. I'm mad. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you.
I'm stupid lettuce. I'll kill you all. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. The thing is, I think it like. If I took like my full dose of Adderall, which I don't anymore, like I'd usually take because I couldn't sleep. It'd cause insomnia. I'm supposed to take a dose in the afternoon too, the titrate. And if I take that, then I don't really get hungry throughout the day, and I just snack here and there. And I did lose weight when I was doing that, but then I couldn't sleep. So now I just come off of it, and at night I'm just ravenous. Like I'll usually not eat breakfast, won't eat lunch, have a huge dinner, and then I snack like before I go to bed. And it's like, why do I look this way? You know, it's like it doesn't make it makes a lot of sense. Like I look at it, I'm like, you know what? My metabolism goes dormant right after I eat. That is the worst time to eat. Like the best thing to do is wake up, have a huge meal, and then taper off your meals throughout the day, and then just like stop eating like 6 hours before you go to bed. And if you just do that, you'll maintain weight. Like you won't gain weight, like regardless of what you eat usually.
I think food is the key. Everyone always goes exercise as well. Honestly, exercise, you can exercise all you want. You're never going to lose weight. It's gotta be about what you.
No, that's absolutely true. And I've done it all. I've lost 82 pounds once. I lost 46 pounds in 3 months doing strict keto. And so I've done all.
Don't you get that horrible keto breath where it's like the
keto diet? I don't recommend, and it's good if you want to lose a lot of weight like really quickly, but you can't maintain it. You pay for it. Oh my gosh, do you pay for it? Like the biggest problems that I have with keto is it messed up all my joints because it raises your uric acid level like through the roof, and uric acid is what gives you gout. So in my case, it actually started eating away at my joints and stuff after about 4 or 5 months. And I was forced to quit. Like the doctor literally pulled me off the diet, and he was the one that suggested it because my uric acid was just too high. They were having a hard time maintaining it with medicine. And so they took me off it, and it's like my joints I'm still feeling the pain and the inflammation from that. And that was like, over a year ago.
Huh.
So I don't recommend keto unless you need to drop a lot of weight, like for surgery or something like that. Then doctors will recommend it for short term, but for long term, no way. I would not recommend it long term. Like the best thing to do by far out of every diet I've ever done in my life, and what was literally just to count calories. That's it.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't change what you eat. Just count calories and make sure you don't eat before you go to bed, and you're good. Like you'll lose shitloads of weight.
It's like we were talking about last week. As long as if you're faced with those calorie numbers every single time, it makes you think about it, and you just go like, you know what? Maybe I will have two egg McMuffins instead of the fried. Hash
we lie to ourselves though. Like that's a big topic I talk about on my other live stream over on Twitch all the time. Is that blissful ignorance is a thing. Like we don't want to know the truth about certain things, right? It's like when I'm sitting down and eating a meal, if I had a thing that popped up that said, by eating this meal, by the end of the week, you will gain 1.5 pounds. By eating this meal, if you eat this salad over here, you're going to lose 1.5 pounds by the end of the week. If that data was there, I would eat the salad.
That's so true, because that's the only time I managed to lose weight was using one of those apps.
Exactly. Like the Fitbit. What's the
one of those things?
My Fitness Yep.
My Fitness Pal. That was it. That's what I used. That was great.
That's what I used when I lose a bunch of weight too. Yeah.
But I just wanted to do it automatically. There was too much data entry for me.
Yeah.
That's what ruined it for me too. And then I found that I was cheating it. Because I'd go in there and it'd be like, oh, I just went and got like a big, huge burger like this from like Five Guys. And I'm like, oh, there's not a listing for Five Guys. I'm just going to put this down as a cheeseburger from McDonald's that's like 1/10 the calories. And then every day I'm like, oh, now I know I can have that. So I'm just going to eat that every day. And I'm like, why am I not losing weight? It's like, numbnuts. Like you're just...
I would be like, Baz took a bite. So that's not a full burger. So maybe it's like it's like 80% of a burger. So that's 80% of, like I was starting to do the math.
Yeah, you're like
I always go a little over. Like I'm trying to guess like if I'm making lunch for myself.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, did I use 2 tablespoons of butter on my toast? Mm-hmm. Probably not, but I'm gonna put it down that way because I'd rather say that I was 10 or 50 calories over than be under.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Overpromise. No, underpromise, overperform.
Yeah.
Overpromise, underperform.
Yeah.
That's how I've got where I am.
and honestly, the diets I've lost the most weight on, like when I was going for weight loss goal, like I mean, literally having like bets with friends and stuff. Like we used to get pretty hardcore back in the day to lose weight. And I remember I didn't do a lot of exercise. My 2 most successful diets where I lost the most weight, I didn't do a lot of exercise. Because the problem that you have is if you eat like a lot of protein, which usually if you go for like, a good diet, you trade carbs for protein, right? That's how you tend to feel full without eating. And the problem with that is when you exercise a lot is you tend to put on muscle mass a lot faster if you have a lot of just protein chilling in your body. And so when your goal is weight loss, you start getting like really, really frustrated because you'll lose like 2 pounds in like 2 or 3 weeks. And you're like, but you didn't. You actually lost like 15 pounds, but you just gained a lot of muscle.
Right.
And so that becomes a little bit of a problem when you're trying to lose weight because you look and you can see the results, but the scale keeps telling you, nah, bro. Nah,
I stopped weighing myself because I found it so frustrating because you'd be up and down. You'd be like, I had a good day. And,
Yeah, I gained 15.
I like going by the shirt and pants. Does this shirt feel good when I wear it? Can do I feel comfortable in these pants? Like, because yeah, man, if I have a hefty poop, I lost 5 pounds.
Exactly.
Like, that's not like that doesn't count.
Yeah.
But I have
Doesn't
shirts
it?
where I'm like, but there are shirts where I'm like, man, I don't feel like I look good, and so I'm like, okay, maybe I need to cut back for a little while, and I put the shirt back, and it's like, that's better.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that.
That's not a bad idea. Yeah.
I think I actually have a little bit of a social experiment I didn't even know I was a part of that can confirm you're right on that. Well, I've been home during the COVID and haven't been traveling and everything. God, I haven't put on a pair of jeans in probably 4 months. Like, because I'm just chilling around my house, wearing my pajama pants, doing my streaming. And I've definitely noticed, like, I try to put my jeans on and I'm like, holy crap, like, these do not fit anymore. But it's like, I didn't notice that transition. I really didn't. And my weight remained somewhat stable. It's just my weight moved around. Yeah. You know, it's like, so, but I never noticed because I just wasn't wearing it, right? When you're wearing like a belt every day, it's like, you know, that notch. Even if it's tight, you still go to that notch. So it kind of it reins you in. And,
that's why I'm going to moo-moo.
And I need to start doing that again. I really need to start doing that with the moo-moo.
and it always fits.
Yeah, the Homer Simpson, just punch a hole in the tarp and lay it over the top. Just go for it.
That's it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with the clothing there.
I got to start doing the burn alarms again because the dog walks aren't doing it. I'm not getting enough exercise for sure. But yeah, I want to do it in tandem with some better eating too, because that's the other thing is I feel like it's been so long that that I've gone from from fit to fat again just within the COVID thing. I was like, we're going to be locked in. Great. I'm going to look amazing when I come out of this. I'm a total mess.
Right. It's like, I kind of thought the same thing. It's like, oh man, I'll be home. I'll just play Beat Saber every day. And it's like, I've played Beat Saber like twice. Like, it's like if I played Beat Saber every single day, like an hour, there is nothing I could eat that my metabolism would slow down enough for that to be a problem. Like, Beat Saber pushes you so friggin' hard if you've ever played
drumming.
it.
When I was a drummer, it was amazing. It never mattered what I ate.
Yeah, the drummer is the hardest working person in a band. Like, I've done some drumming before, and I'm like, I don't even know how you get through one song. Like,
my god, it's brutal.
Whoever's doing Enter Sandman, like, who was Metallica's drummer? What's his name? He's a pretty famous guy, isn't he? Oh, God, apparently not enough for me to remember his name.
Clearly not, yeah.
But no, I know I've watched, like, when through Enter Sandman, it's like he is going like full tilt for like, what is that, a 10-minute song or something like that?
Yeah.
And you're like, and sweat is just pouring off of him.
Lars Ulrich, that's right. Lars Ulrich.
F that guy. He's the one who ruined Napster. F that guy.
Well, Metallica has a history of like being really, really anti-piracy, like to obscene levels.
Now we have iTunes. Thanks.
Right. Hey, Thomas, thank you for the $5. He said, hi from Texas. Love your channel, brother. Oh, you're a sweetheart. Niku, thank you for the 200 sexes. We got 200 sexes. He said, David Hewlett, the best actor in Stargate Atlantis. Ooh, he's going to just butter your chops on this one. He said, I wish Stargate would reboot, specifically in these times with the Space Force and life in the solar system being almost confirmed and a superfied AI around the corner. Or a stupefied AI around the corner. I mean, I think I speak for everybody who loves Stargate. Like, it'd be awesome if it came back. But is it coming back? Who knows? Probably in 30 years because they recycle everything. They keep
making these little comments about it. It's always like, everyone always goes like, it's like every, like, I don't know, like year or so, there's like a little posting somewhere. Usually Malazzi who will post something and everyone goes like, are we rebooting it? I was like, I'm sure they will at some point. I can't imagine them just giving that franchise away. But are they going to restart any of the ones that we've already started? I don't know. I don't know about that.
It was it was such a successful franchise. I mean, other than Universe, I think Universe was just.
I liked
Universe. It was well done, but it was just too dark and like it just people.
It's just different than the other Stargates.
Right. But I think the formula is like solid. Like that formula just works. Like the whole idea of having a team that's just exploring, and you have endless boundaries. Like there's really no laws. You can change everything on a moment's notice. Oh, you want Tilk to fly around on a magic carpet? That can actually happen with this technology, right? You just got to find the right freaking ancient thing, and so you can justify anything. So it's like the writers probably love that show because they don't have to sit there and go like Star Trek and go through technical drawings and be like, oh, that's going to violate the warp core and the cell dynamics that we came up with 400 episodes ago. It's like they don't have to do that. It's like in Stargate, it's like, okay, if you want to break all the rules of the last episode, just do it and just put magic. Like space magic, because
it's indistinguishable. The technology.
Exactly. Like the Ori, when the Ori were introduced, it's like, okay, basically you have like the Q
magicians,
magicians flying around. They have like infinite amounts of power, and they literally have like gods that are like on different ethereal plane and stuff. And you're like, Okay, wait a second. What the shit? Like we just
and that was the whole appeal, right? Of the original Stargate was that you had this sort of mix of Egyptian gods and high tech. I mean, I think that was and just once you've got that conceit, once you've got your Stargate or your TARDIS or your Enterprise or your whatever your vehicle is for getting around, you literally that's literally your story engine, right? Like that's just it goes wrong and takes you here, it goes right and takes you here. I mean, like it's just it's perfect for that. And the Stargate itself as a concept, it has like a certain amount of sort of conspiracy theory to it because you've got the government hiding the technology and it's just perfectly primed for all of that stuff, I think.
And I love the whole idea of just playing it off of that, like humanity is just oblivious to this is all going on.
Yeah.
It's like Cheyenne Mountain's like Area 51, right? It's like, man, we got the aliens. It's like, no, we got a lot more than aliens, dude. Like while you're buying your cheeseburger and driving around your fossil fuel burning car, it's like there's literally spaceships out there going faster than light, like shooting freaking plasma weapons at each other and stuff.
It's like Galaxy Quest.
Exactly
like
Galaxy Quest.
I knew it was real. You know what I mean? Like that's
so fantastic. I love that movie, by the way. Galaxy Quest. I hope they do a sequel to that sometime. That was amazing.
That'd be fun. Well, that and Rick and Morty, I think, is probably the best science fiction on television right now.
It is.
I just like the stuff that nut explores is extraordinary to me.
My favorite Rick and Morty episodes though are the ones where they just completely go off script. Like intergalactic cable, like none of that is scripted. God, they just let them just get drunk and just say the weirdest shit, and then they just animate to it.
And then try to animate it.
Yeah, it's like today, two brothers on a planet that's exploding, and there's grandmas coming down a hill and fighting, and tomatoes, and you see the characters, the animators are just like, oh shit, like how do we even draw this?
Yeah.
And I love that. Or like Little Bits. The Little Bits commercial is my all-time favorite Rick and Morty skit. Is in Intergalactic Cable, there's like this restaurant called Little Bits. And these guys with big heads and little mouths, and it's like, come on down to Little Bits. We got little food, we got little steaks and little eggs and everything for your little mouth. It fits in your little mouth. It doesn't get stuck. And then at the very end, it just shows a guy in a bathroom and he's peeking over the urinal. The guy who's doing the commercial. Well, he's taking a piss and he's like, ha, fuck you, get out of here, you fucking asshole, you little shit, or something like that. And the guy's like looking at him like, why are you saying this to me? And then he just starts busting up laughing, and then they go to the next commercial. And it makes no sense. Like the commercial is like this. It's like they're doing a commercial for Denny's, and then it just ends with him in the bathroom, just like berating a guy taking a whiz. Yeah. And it makes absolutely no sense, but it catches you so off guard. You have to just laugh because you're like, what the fuck is happening? Or like car versus man. That's just amazing, right? It's like it's a car versus a man. Hey, has the car ever lost? No, come to think of it, it hasn't. You know, it's like, of course the car is gonna win. Oh my God, it's brilliant.
Well, just the universe inside the universe powering another. Just all the. It actually gets I'm sure if you truly understood this stuff, I'm sure there's more in that show that I will ever get out of it. You know
Every time I've watched an episode, I've noticed something different. Like it's one of those things where it gets really cerebral. Like you don't notice all the layers of the onion because you're so focused on what the surface is, but then you start to get the jokes. Like. There was a lot of jokes the first time I watched Rick and Morty season 1 that I just completely went over my head. Like I didn't even laugh. I didn't even realize it was a joke. But then you go back and watch it again after you've seen all the surface stuff, and now you can kind of pay attention. And you start to see like the jokes start to unfold, and you start to see like these really, really loose relationships with things that have happened in like real life. And it cracks you up. And if you haven't seen Bushworld, have you seen Bushworld?
No.
So Rick, there's a guy, God, I don't know, I forgot his name. He did if you go on YouTube and you do a search for Bushworld Adventures, it's basically this other famous animator that does his own version of Rick and Morty, Australian Rick and Morty.
Oh, great.
And it's so bad. It is, oh God, dude. It's like, I don't even know how it can be on YouTube. It's so bad. Have you seen it, AuxxZillary? Dude, literally Rick like picks up Morty and he turns his portal gun into a real gun, and he just keeps telling Morty he's going to kill him the whole time during their adventure. He's like, Morty, I'm taking you to kill you. You're going to die, Morty. You're going to die. And he just keeps aiming the gun at his head. And Morty's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? He's like, when we're going, I'm going to kill you, Morty. And it just weird shit happen. It makes Rick and Morty look sane.
Oh, weird.
Like, so later on, watch it. It's called Bushworld Adventure. If you haven't seen it, you're going to be like, a lot of people refer to it as the best Rick and Morty episode. Because it's like it goes so far beyond Rick and Morty into the territory of just being so messed up and wrong that
I kind of thought Morty was there. Rick and Morty were there already. But
exactly, and this takes it to a whole different level. Like honestly, like Justin Roiland when he watched this thing must have just been like shitting his pants because this dude one-upped him. Like it doesn't just first of all it doesn't make any sense. Like, don't try to make any sense of it, because like every time they draw Rick in a different scene, he looks different. Like, they intentionally draw him and make him look different in every scene. You know, to confuse you, because you're like, why does Rick's face keep changing animation styles and stuff? Well, everything else stays the same. And then they have all the characters in the show, but they're all like way different than their character in the show. They're like way darker and way meaner. Like Rick literally gets gasoline and just walks into a store and just shoots the clerk in the head and like kills him and then steals a bunch of shit and says, "Morty, we gotta go." Like it and the portal gun is just a real gun. It doesn't open portals. Like in the beginning, he's like, "Morty, I upgraded my portal gun. Now it's just a gun." And it's just, it's so bad. If you guys have seen Bushworld Adventure in chat, like say something, because it's so bad. You put it this way, you'll watch it and you'll be like, how is this allowed on YouTube? That was my first question when I watched it, is how is this allowed on YouTube? There's a whole scene where a snake bites Morty, and I'm not going to tell you where or what happens after that, but the first thing you'll ask yourself is, how has YouTube not flagged this and taken it down? It is so far outside of their TOS, it isn't funny. It's crazy. Let's hear Mark Wasfy? Did I get that right? Wasfy? Thank you for the $5 super chat. We appreciate that. He said probably the SG and the mountain is the janitor's closet. What? Probably
the Stargate. The Stargate and the mountain is the janitor's closet.
Oh, there you go. There you go. It's like Doctor Who. It's bigger on the inside. It's just one giant closet with different coordinates to go to different rooms.
Did they ever do that? I wonder if did they ever do a Stargate where things were bigger on the inside?
I don't know if they did or not. Some of the ships kind of seem that way though.
Yeah, well,
I'm pretty sure there was some creative set production there, because the puddle jumper looked like it should have been a lot smaller on the inside than it actually was.
My frustration with these films always is that, or like when the monsters they keep changing the scale of the monster. Yep. Not actually in Stargate, but in other ones we've been watching movies. Going like, wait a sec, he was just towering over the Empire State Building, and now he's peering in a second-story window. Wait, what? How tall is this thing?
Yeah, perspective is a weird thing. Like, it reminds me of like the Green Mile, how they made I can't remember his name. Wonderful actor, the main guy in Green Mile, not Tom Hanks, but what was his name? He died. He passed away, unfortunately. The big black dude. He's like, I mean, he is built. The dude looks
Ving
like
Rhames?
No, not Ving Rhames. Oh shit, what's his name?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Thank you. Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan. He's actually I think he's like he's shorter than Tom Hanks. So when you see him on the set, he's shorter than Tom Hanks in the behind the scenes and like the making of, but they constantly like put him up on stuff and on stilts. So in the movie, he looks like he towers over everybody because he's got the build for it. His head and his upper body is so massive that when they bring him up off the ground, he looks like he's like this 7-foot giant. But then you see him in the behind the scenes and he's like shorter than most of the other cast members.
It's like Michael J. Fox said. He said, you know you've made it when they stop getting you to stand on boxes and they start digging trenches. Right,
bring them down to your level.
Yeah,
I love it.
I thought that was kind of neat that there was. I never really made that connection, but
I did think it was cool that Michael J. Fox started like coming back to some TV shows and stuff there for a while though. Like I saw him on Scrubs and stuff. Like they got it. I love how they wrote his condition like into the show as like obsessive compulsive and stuff. Like I thought that was really neat. But I haven't seen him in a long time. I think the last time I saw anything from Michael J. Fox was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's degenerative, right? So I'm guessing it's getting harder and harder for him to do stuff. But he was in it. He was starring in a show, was he not, for a while there? Like, I feel like they started a show with him.
I know he was in
specifically playing to his disease.
Because I know in Scrubs he played a doctor that had OCD, and so they basically used his swaying and stuff as like it was an obsessive compulsive thing.
Right.
And ironically, he played a surgeon, which is like somebody who has to be like really, really still and everything. And but he did a fantastic job. Like the character, the way he played the character and everything, it completely came off. Like if you didn't know he had Parkinson's, you wouldn't think he had Parkinson's because the character was so well played to that.
Spin City was great, but Spin City, I don't think he was admitting it then. Is that right?
He kept it hidden for a long time.
Yeah.
Let me see here. I want to see what his filmography is, because I don't think I've seen him. I think it's been about 2 years since I saw him speak publicly. So I think he's just kind of like on the down low now. But it seems
his
like
charity thing is amazing too. Like just the amount of money that they've raised for that is
Let's see, what's the last movie he
did? So he left Spin City when he announced it. That's right. I mean, it's got to be hard. Can you imagine trying to do like a freaking sitcom every week? And not play to all of that physical stuff that he's got to deal with. I mean,
I'm totally wrong. He's literally been in a TV series called The Good Fight this year.
Oh, that's it. So there you go.
That's
There was.
the
I
one.
thought there was
Yeah.
a show that he was
Yep.
doing. Yeah.
And then before that, it looks like he did some animated voiceover work
Oh, that's smart.
for Corner Gas Animated, whatever that is. And
Did he really? He did Corner Gas.
Yeah, and in 2019,
Corner
he did
Gas is
See
like-
You Yesterday, Mr. Lockhart, like Archie 2, Mission Impossible. He's been working every year.
Good.
There you go.
He was in Curb Your Enthusiasm in 2017, so yeah, he's been working.
Ah.
Oh, I'm just kind of now I feel bad that I haven't noticed because I love him as an actor. He's a fantastic dude.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Back to
Oh
the
my
Future,
God.
I think, is all of our everybody's favorite. Like Back to the Future is such a perfect movie,
Yeah.
even though
Well,
it's flawed.
God, way back, right? Like Family Ties. I mean, I used to watch Family Ties religiously.
That was a great show. Oh my gosh.
He did 5 episodes of Designated Survivor. Really?
Ooh, I liked that show. That was good.
Wait, was he?
Yeah.
He was
I
in
didn't get real
Designated
deep
Survivor?
into it, but that was a cool premise and everything. That was neat.
Yeah, wasn't the idea of that show that like 20 levels of government like get taken out and it's like literally the last dude in succession?
Yeah, they blow up the not the Capitol building, but the where they do the State of the Union.
Yeah.
And because everybody's supposed to be there, but he was the Secretary of Education.
Oh, that's right. I was going to say he was a
the-
teacher or something. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the designated survivor, like just in case, and so yeah, he instantly jumps to the head of the line, and it follows all kinds of stuff like that. Like the Michigan governor says no, fuck you, and like it was pretty cool. I think it's on Netflix now.
Yeah, I think I've only seen one or two of the episodes, and then I just got like squirrel, and I went
It's
and saw
pretty
something
neat.
else.
Plus,
Oh,
I
you know,
like-
you should, totally
I like
off
that guy.
topic. Totally off topic, but shows you should watch. I watched the latest. It's on Netflix. It's like a grilling show. It's just about barbecue.
Ooh, I'll watch
It
that.
is one of the most beautifully made shows I've seen.
What?
It's something barbecue or like
Chef's Table Barbecue. It's the
Well, that's
American
apparently
Barbecue
good.
Showdown.
I think that's the same person who does that. Let me have a look. I'm going to check on Netflix.
I have not seen that one. So, problem is, I subscribe to so many
American
damn services.
Barbecue?
It's like
Yeah,
I miss
me
half
too.
the stuff. Like
That's it.
The Boys. I just watched The Boys again last night. That is my
Oh my
one of my
God.
new favorite shows.
So insane.
It's
Chef's Table Barbecue. That's what it is. Yeah.
Here, let me write that one down. Miss
Sign
Barnacules
me
will
up
watch
on that.
It is gorgeous. Like, I mean, although you're hungry while you're eating, watching it. Like,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
okay.
it's
I'm
like-
usually
it's-
eating when I'm watching TV anyways. So
Yeah,
it all works out.
But it's just the way they make it about the people, even though it is about cooking, obviously. But also just the way it's filmed. It's just such a gorgeous. Like I've just never seen more beautiful shots of fire and embers and and there's just some really interesting stories that they sort of pursue.
Okay.
But yeah, I would
give you
definitely recommend that. But apparently there's another one as well that they do. The same people do. Who is the?
So David Gelb is the.
That's
creator.
it. David Gelb. That's the one. Apparently he's got a couple other shows as well. But it's just, I mean, when you compare it to a lot of the other reality shows, you're like, this is like the Academy Awards of Academy Award winning show of all the reality stuff, because it looks like a feature film.
He produced one called Street Food Asia. It's a documentary series, I suppose the series is called Street Food.
I think I've seen bits of that too. Yeah, the barbecue was just kind of neat though, because it just goes around the world talking about sort of our relationship with fire and food and things. And there's this one guy who basically has a restaurant in Australia that only cooks with fire.
Cool.
He's literally roasting like salads. He cooks
That's cool.
caviar. He bakes caviar or barbecues caviar.
That's
it's
nuts.
Yeah, it's totally nuts. But it looks so freaking good. There's probably Australians in. There's got to be Australians watching who've heard of this guy.
What about show? Have you guys watched any shows lately where they're like decent shows, the story's decent, but like they fuck up like all the continuity like really really bad, and the special effects are just terrible?
There's some really really bad VFX we've seen in stuff recently.
Dude, watch the series Away. It's about like the first crew to go to Mars.
You don't want to screw that up then.
Oh my god, did they fuck it up so bad? I mean, I keep watching it because the story is actually kind of good. Like I like the story of it, but oh my god, do they mess up like the continuity on everything? Like the idea of them like floating without gravity. You can tell that there's cables connected to them all. When they pick stuff up, there's still weight to everything, and like you can tell they put like zero effort into it. every single scene where they do something in space, you can tell they didn't research anything. Like they drill a hole in the wall of the spacecraft and it like rapidly decompresses and they got to like run out of the room and like seal the room off, when in reality they could have put like a sheet of paper over the hole and it would have sealed it. You know, it's like there's so many like weird continuity issues with it. And I mean, to the point where I actually start cringing. Like I watch it and it's like, I want to like the story and I want to get into it, but it's like they just mess up the technical aspects so terribly.
Well, but in most cases, Hollywood just doesn't give a crap about this stuff. I mean, I remember having debates about stuff in things that I've written and saying like, I don't know, I'm not sure the validity of any of this stuff. They're like, yeah, whatever. I was like, aren't we going to get like a technical person to have a look at some of this stuff so we can? They're like, yeah, whatever. After, after we've shot it.
Yeah, like the one of the premises in the show is like the whole outer jacket of the ship is filled with water to like protect them against radiation. And I'm like, there's actually a lot lighter materials that can protect you from radiation than just like making your thing into a swimming pool. Yet they all are like dying from dehydration because they can't drink the water in the wall, because if they drink any of the water in the wall, it's gonna like kill them from radiation. And I'm like, well, couldn't you like take a little quadrant and like just seal off a section and just drink the water from that section? Or couldn't you take the water out and drink it and then just put the piss back in the wall when you're done with it? Like, there's so many things that just come to your mind immediately, and you're like, this is fucking NASA. They should be able to figure this out. But it's like, oh my god,
you solved this, but not that.
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Like they do EVAs where they walk on the outside of the spacecraft or whatever, and it's like they'll like their feet will come off the spacecraft and then they're just like flung out into space for like no reason.
Right.
And the cable like pull tight and like whip them around, a bunch of shit gets damaged. You're like, nobody would design a spaceship with these flaws. Like you can tell that they invented the flaws to follow the story. Like that, like somebody was writing the story, be like, oh, it'd be really cool if their cable got hung up on everything outside of the spaceship. So let's just put no handholds where it makes sense.
Right.
Like you know, like when on the International Space Station when they're moving along, you know, they take their little clamp and they move it to like, you know, keep them attached to the station at all times. And it's like on the spacecraft, all the handholds are in the worst possible place that you can't reach. So they like get on the outside of the space. Yeah, they're like reaching and they're like, oh god, how do I get to it? How do I get to it? It's like, why? What, they didn't pull out a tape measure and be like, oh, the average width of an arm span? Like, why would they create something like that?
Like we do that with our wall studs, for God's sake. You think they'd, you think they'd figure that out?
So freaking ridiculous. Hey, Naku, thank you for the 50 sexes. He said, do you guys think people will freak out when we get confirmation of life out there on other planets, and what implications will it have on our way of life? Yeah, we should talk about Venus. Let's talk about Venus.
So I think it's really going to depend. If we find with bacteria or something, nobody's going to care. The only real life that anybody's going to care about is if it's like straight up aliens.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
and let's be honest, they would find us first. They're most likely going to find us first.
I mean, there's arguments to be made.
Find us.
Well, I mean, there could be something under Europa, right? There's like. Yep. There's like an ocean down there. There could be fish and stuff that we don't know about, and it doesn't necessarily, even intelligent life doesn't necessarily have to be spacefaring.
Right.
I
mean, shit, we're barely spacefaring.
There could be highly intelligent dolphin world somewhere, and they just never left the planet because how are you going to launch a rocket? Yeah, evil.
They gotta be evil, dude. They gotta be evil.
It's just they could never leave the planet because how are you going to get a rocket out of the ocean, out of the atmosphere, and then what are you going to do? Bring millions of tons of water with you too?
And maybe they don't need to leave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Like they could possibly just be happy on their planet, maybe getting along, not killing each other, weird shit like that.
Like they don't even want to go to space. Like the reason we want to go to space is to get away from all the assholes, right? So it's like, maybe they're just all they're all in harmony and they never even needed to advance because everything's just so fantastic.
The evil dolphins thing is actually a Tech Bandits thing, because one of my Tech Bandits, I thought one of these great questions that came up from one of my kids was, well, wait a second, like we're talking about humans, and like I was basically saying that we're a cancer and that we're basically just we only take, we don't really give anything back to the planet, and that the planet would do so much better without us. And then she said, yeah, but like maybe there are evil dolphins. Like, are there maybe bad dolphins as well as good? Are there dolphins out there that are like subjugating their fellow dolphins and
like enslaving crabs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean? Using up all the resources.
That'd be funny.
Well, we all know dolphins are already evil here on Earth. So if there's a smarter breed of dolphin somewhere else, like it's literally a hedonistic society. Like everything on the planet you're gonna find is gonna be a dead, rotting corpse with several holes in it. I won't give any details beyond that, but go do your research on dolphins.
Yeah.
Dolphins are incredibly rapey creatures. They are.
Yeah.
Like, watch any National Geographic documentary. They can't ignore it forever.
Nature is pretty rapey. I mean, it's like, it's this like, and then you get into the insect world and it's just freaking, it's alien. I mean, it's basically aliens.
Literally, you're not my mate, you're also my food source. like praying mantis, right? Like, oh, here, hold still. I got to eat your head. I need some protein now. It's like, oh, and
by the way, why don't I put my eggs in you while I'm at it?
Exactly, right? It's like, insects are really, really creepy. Imagine a world of insects that are human-sized. And they're like the Zindi from Star Trek. That could happen.
Or what was the other one? The Starship Troopers.
Yeah. Oh, God, those bugs creep me out. The first time I ever saw that movie.
So there's a bit of a problem with the Starship Trooper bugs.
They don't eat anything. They just tear it apart. You
physically can't scale bugs of that design to that big. They would like
snap under their own weight.
They'll collapse under their own weight. That's why you don't have super giant bugs. Is the whole exoskeleton thing doesn't work after a certain size. Like,
so spiders just aren't going to get.
Sorry, physics ruined that.
Maybe they have adamantium shells though.
Well, I suppose there could be some argument of like they're evolving a certain sort of shell material or something, or even starting getting into more like flexible, leathery type chitin or something that doesn't, that isn't solid.
I'm sure someone will engineer one.
Right.
Or maybe their planet just has really insanely low gravity and low pressure in the atmosphere, there's weird things that could happen.
That's an argument too. Yeah. Some other sort of something to keep it from crushing them. But it's just, So
what about Venus?
Interesting.
So what's the deal with Venus here, AuxxZillary? Give us the lowdown on why we've been searching for life on Mars for like ever, and all of a sudden Venus is getting all the attention the last couple days.
Given how toxic the place is.
Yeah, so I guess they have found the chemical signs for phosphine, which I guess is a precursor sort of chemical to biological life in that sense. It's produced by bacteria.
Yep.
They're suspecting that it could be being produced by bacteria. I guess so.
Haven't they only seen it? Haven't they only seen it in conjunction with bacteria? Isn't that the?
I think that's why it's a possible sign.
They said that there is a chemical reaction that could create it, but we haven't found it occurring in nature here.
Oh, okay.
So it could technically be like but in the volumes that they're seeing it in the atmosphere, it'd make more sense that it's bacteria.
But Russia owns that planet anyway, so that's kind of done. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
they announced it. Oh yeah, no. Apparently Venus is Russia's planet.
I thought we had like a rule that you can't own anything in space. You can only like lease it, or
I guess no one told Russia that.
Oh,
they crash landed an Explorer, one of their crafts on it. It melted like in 2 seconds, but apparently they now think that it's their planet.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That doesn't count. If it burned up in the atmosphere, that doesn't count.
Well, no, actually, it actually landed. Apparently, it actually landed and then melted in a couple of like minutes or seconds or something.
So this is the new rule: if you shoot it, you own it. Like if you hit it with something, you own it. Like you throw a rock and that's yours.
It would just be throwing shit at all the planets now.
Does that mean Mars is ours then? Because I think we're the only ones who have stuff on
the moon.
Mars,
we got the moon. Surely, don't we have the moon?
I think in the 60s they did a bunch of treaties and stuff that broke up the moon. There's different sections of the moon.
Oh my god! Seriously,
as I understand it, nobody owns the moon. Like you can land anywhere you want, and wherever you land is but it's like a lease. Like you can't kick other people out.
I think they divvied it up. There's certain places that we have to land that the Chinese can land on. Like
this is why we shouldn't leave our own planet, because we're literally just gonna we're gonna start fighting over Venus now. It would be freaking cool to watch, but we're gonna be fighting over Venus.
That's how it worked. Yeah. Who owns the moon?
And I saw that movie. The Nazis already have a base up there.
Oh, somebody's saying it was a translator error that Russia didn't say that.
That's on the back side of the moon, so nobody cares about that.
Oh, it was a translator error?
Yeah, somebody saying, I mean, I'd have to verify it, but yeah, somebody said it turned out being a translator error, that they weren't saying that they owned Venus.
The translator has been dealt with.
Yeah, he's been dealt with. We have taken him away. You'll never see him again.
That's it. Iron Sky. That's right. Iron Sky had the Nazi base on the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great movie.
According to the Outer Space Treaty of 1967, the exploration and use of space shall be carried out in the interests of all countries. Outer space is the province of all mankind.
Yep.
The Outer Space Treaty means, therefore, that no matter whose national flags are planted on the lunar surface, no nation can own the moon.
That's what I thought.
As of 2019, 109 nations are bound by the treaty. Another 23 have signed the agreement, but have yet to be officially recognized. So yeah, I guess it's there for everybody.
You can just land and I also heard that treaty also says that any resources that you mine are yours. So like if you mine an asteroid or you mine the moon, like as long as you're the one that extracted those resources, they're yours. So whoever can mine the resources the fastest, the most effectively, get the most resources from the moon.
Do we not feel like this could go horribly badly then?
I'm pretty sure we were expecting that we were going to be the ones that, like when that treaty was written, I'm sure America was like, oh, we're going to be the ones that can mine the most, but like China's like, hold my beer. China's already like planning like a moon landing with like permanent inhabitation. That I think what is it, helium-3 or something like that? I think it's helium-3 on the moon that's like really, really abundant, and we don't have a lot of it here. So it's actually worth the hassle.
We're running out of helium.
Yeah,
we're actually running out of helium.
Yeah, there's something about this helium-3 that's like really, really like tantalizing. Like we want it. Like it's good for something. And I don't think it's party balloons.
I worry that we're going to do that. We're making the same mistakes again.
We always
we just said basically, let's go dig all the crap we can out of let's just dig the shit out of everything we can find, and just rape and pillage it for all it's worth, and then we'll worry about whether maybe, oh look, it's in a decaying orbit. Oh look at that. You know what I mean? Like
you know what's funny is if you think about it though, like just from a pure like grade school physics standpoint, if we go to the moon and we mine a bunch of mass away from it and we bring it back to Earth, we increase the Earth's mass and we decrease the mass of the moon, which means the moon's gonna be pulled into us. If we keep mining the moon and keep bringing the resources back and we don't leave counter, I mean, it'd have to be on the trillions of tons.
Well, people are going to be blowing shit up. Like, let's test our nukes out there. Like, I mean, oh, sorry.
Dude, that almost happened. I was watching a Dark Docs episode on YouTube where they were talking about a program back in the Saturn V program where they were going to literally launch a nuclear like missile at the moon just so that they could test like what it looks like in a vacuum. They wanted to see what the explosion looked like on a surface in a vacuum. So they're like, we're just gonna create another crater on the moon and just
like. I mean, it would be freaking cool, but at the same time, I just wonder,
Yeah, they basically signed a treaty saying that they wouldn't put nuclear ordnance on anything that goes into space, which is funny because like every ICBM that we ever have violates that treaty if we launch it. As long as we don't launch it, we're fine. But every ICBM on the planet, other than the hypersonic missiles, like goes into the vacuum of space, right? So that would violate that rule.
Wow.
Let's hope we never fire them. That would be terrible. But Venus, anyways, back to Venus, the life that the phosphine that they're finding. And we have the technology now where we can literally just like aim something at planets and figure out like the chemical makeup of their atmosphere.
Oh, is that spectro, whatever the hell it is?
Yeah, it's the light. It's how the light bends through the atmosphere and stuff. You can the spectral, the spectral. Damn it, you were on the right track with the word. But
spectral analysis.
Yeah, how much color, like if there's a lot of red, that means there's going to be sodium or whatever.
Yep.
And so, they can tell from the light. I mean, here, I'm sure it's a lot easier. We can just, there's probably probes or something out there that tell us what's in the atmosphere.
Yeah, because that's how, what do they call those things? A gas spectral analyzer? The things that they use in labs? Like basically every single atom like emits like a different light. Because of the speed of the electrons or something traveling around, it creates like a Doppler shift or something like that. Anyways, each we can literally narrow it down to exactly like what element it is on the periodic table, or even combination of elements just by the light that it emits. It's really weird. Yeah. And it's so sensitive that they also have to factor in the speed at which the object is moving towards or away from you so that they can shift the spectrum. Otherwise, they'd be wrong. So like if Venus is moving, and we're moving apart, or moving together, you have to account for that Doppler shift. So it's like there's a lot of math and a lot of computation that goes into it. But now they can look at these planets, and that's how we found another Earth-like planet that's like in our next solar system over.
Oh, bunches.
Right. Yeah, they're all over the place.
The Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, there's billions
big
of these
ones.
things.
There's little ones. Yeah, bunches of potential Earth-like
There's no way
planets.
we're alone. There's no freaking way we're alone. The question is whether anyone's had to leave their planet, or my big theory is like it's gonna be a transformer. It's gonna be someone is gonna send robots before they send themselves. So it's more likely that we're gonna run into some giant primitive, spacefaring, AI
Voyager
thing.
type probe thing.
That first Star Trek. With more likelihood the first Star Trek episode is going to happen than anything else.
I like the concept of like the Great Filter. It's like there's billions of Earth-like planets, but we're so far away from each other and we're so inaccessible to each other that like societies will literally grow, completely fall, and become extinct. by the time that we could access the other one. So like even our closest planet to us is like 11 light years away. If you could travel the speed of light, right? 11 years to get there. And that also means the light takes 11 years to get here that we're seeing from that planet. So we can like figure out the composition of the atmosphere, but we don't have the resolution to see if there's actually anything on the surface. Right. You know, and a lot of the stuff that we're seeing from that planet isn't even looking at the planet. It's looking at the shadow it casts across its sun when it's moving. I mean, it's like that's with our most sensitive telescopes that we have, just 11 light years away. And that's literally like the next closest Earth-like planet. So even if there was life there and they were as advanced as we were, it's like there's no way. It would take 11 years for us to like send a radio signal and basically have it
and picked up, and then
another 11 years for it to come back. And so many things could go wrong that would mess up that signal from background radiation and noise, that by us to be sufficiently advanced to actually meet each other, chances are the societies have already like grown and fallen. And because we're such a tiny blip, they said in the grand scheme of the universe, like a species evolving and a planet like completely growing and then collapsing and destroying, that's just a blip in the grand scheme of things. So unless life formed it like very close to each other in those two planets that were in proximity, you would never be aware of each other. Like in like a tiny little blip in the cosmic timeline is millions of years.
You got to think too, there are pockets of humans that have that we haven't found, that we have had no outside contact. You think like, and those distances are nothing really. We do that every day, and there are still pockets of human people on this planet that we've never found.
Yeah, well, creatures.
We're finding new tribes and stuff all the time out in the jungles and things. So like trying to find another populated planet is going to be insanely difficult.
Well, there's parts of the ocean that we're discovering still sea creatures that we didn't even know existed. So, I mean, like, I'm amazed that we're not doing more exploration that way right now, because I'm like, isn't there there's a big part of our planet that is basically outer space.
It's harder to explore the bottom of the ocean than it is to explore space, which is weird.
Is it really?
Yeah, because the pressure. It's the pressure. Because here's the funny thing is that when you hear it explained, it's kind of funny. Because like the vacuum of space is basically the absence of vacuum is literally the difference between like room pressure, sea level pressure, and space. The difference is 1. Literally between an absolute vacuum. The difference in pressure is every 10 meters you go down, it doubles. And so it's like going into space, you just have to create something that can withstand just 1 atmosphere of pressure. Like there's only 1 atmosphere of difference between being on Earth and being in space. And you think of that as a lot, but if you've ever seen a vacuum chamber, you can put your finger over a little hole in the vacuum chamber and you feel it, but you're holding a vacuum with your thumb because of the surface area. It's not that much. That's why spacecraft have really thin walls and they're really lightweight, right? They can protect you from the vacuum of space literally with foil, like with Mylar. Unfortunately, going down, you have a positive pressure that doubles, like I think it doubles every 10 meters or something. So by the time you get to the bottom, you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times the weight of the atmosphere. So it's like you go into space, you only have to deal with the difference of 1 atmosphere. You go down to the bottom of the ocean, you're dealing with hundreds of atmospheres. So it's and we don't know how to build stuff that can like stand up to that stuff very well.
Yeah.
Although
that is neat. I had never thought of that, of course.
Yeah, it's like submarines. Like if you've ever seen like a submarine, like the Russian subs that fall down, every time they do a dive with the robots and they find them, they're just crushed like a tin can. And these are things that are built out of the heaviest materials, like titanium, reinforced several times over. And one of the coolest experiments I ever saw was, I think it was Bill Nye. Was it Bill Nye the Science Guy? Maybe it was somebody else. They hung a string between the hull of a submarine. And the submarine dives, and you see the string go from completely tight to like hanging down by like 6 inches.
Yeah,
the hull of the sub compresses in just from diving. It literally compresses the sub down by like 6 whole inches.
Wow,
that's nuts.
It's like once you see that, you're like, I would never go down in a submarine for like any. These guys are staying under the water for like 6 months. It's bizarre, man. But yeah, that's why we can't explore down there. And then the problem is, anything we find down there, how do you bring it back to the surface without it just exploding?
It just pops. They just explode. So
like I saw a video where some guy was fishing. He was deep sea fishing, and he pulled up a fish, and when he got it up to the surface, the eyes were completely popped out and like 5 times their size.
Oh, gross!
All the pigment was missing out of this fish because they didn't need pigment at that depth because there's no light, right? But the thing was just like literally like on the verge of just exploding. Because what little gas,
rapid decompression,
just rapid decompression. Yeah, so they have to put them in. They have to put them in like pressure vessels and bring them up. And then how strong does that pressure vessel have to be to maintain like 100 atmospheres of pressure on it when you bring it up to the surface, right? You basically have a pipe bomb when you bring it back.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you have to slowly decompress it so that you can, then finally get out the animal and like, study it, but it's not going to survive that. Even if you do slow decompression, it's not going to survive.
But, I wonder if we'll ever take that. I guess there's no motivation really other than exploration, right? It's not like we're going to find things down there that we need that we can't find elsewhere on the planet, right?
The funny thing is we find most of our medicine, as I understand it, comes from sea life.
But we thought that was the Amazon.
Like the jungles and stuff. Yeah.
It's always the weirdest stuff. Like I think that there's a treatment for seizures. There's a seizure treatment that they get from like sea anemones. That like the weird venom from sea anemones, they actually process it into a drug that like helps with like tremors and stuff. And
well, it's like it's diversity. There's such a biodiversity that they're going to come up with other solutions to things that we're not seeing in the places where you've got more specific or larger groups of animals, I guess.
Yeah, and then they also have fish down there that just glow. They just produce their own light. Like they've evolved to just be light bulbs because there's no light down there. And
immortal jellyfish, all sorts of stuff.
So much weird stuff down there, dude.
Things, something as simple as a lobster, like outside of if it's if as long as it doesn't get sick or have some sort of external event, they'll live forever. It's like it's crazy. What's with that?
I think they found quite a few now. I think 6 or 7 species they found now that they think would not have an end of life unless a predator eats them. Like they're literally their entire life cycle is controlled by the things that eat them.
Unless mankind steps in and eats them.
Yeah, we raise the ocean temperature by like 4 degrees and just wipe it, just commit genocide against them.
We just boil the fuckers. We got them all.
But yeah, they've been studying the immortal jellyfish forever because they've never seen this biological process before where it's like when a cell gets to the end and it no longer is like when it's separating, you don't get 2 healthy cells. You end up getting damaged cells at that point because the DNA gets broken down. And then when it gets to the end of the line, it's time to die. It just goes back to its original DNA code and just makes new baby fresh cells again. And the animal reverts back to its juvenile state and grows up again. And it just goes.
Water bears do that too.
What's that? Oh,
the water bears. The tardigrades do that too, don't they?
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think so. Yeah, and it's just really weird because they haven't observed that in any like land life. Like, there's no land animal that does that. It's only sea life that does this, and they don't really understand why. Although there are some land animals that do live for like insane long times. Like I used to think that like humans kind of set a record, and it's like no, there's turtles that live 200, 250 years. There's some lizards that live like 100 plus years. It's really wild, like how many animals actually outlive us. But they usually get cold.
Well, and then you get into the whole trees. I mean, you talk about a different type of life form. You got trees that are, I mean, God knows how long those things have been around.
Well, it's like the suit, like we've wiped out like an entire breed of tree. What were they called? Like the super trees. They thought they grew to like 500 feet or 800 feet tall, and the bases of them are like 30, 40 feet across. Like they're huge.
Jesus.
And we cut them all down. Whoa. We literally like just cut them all down. So there's like none of them are left.
There's also what is it, like aspens, I think, are technically all one big organism. They'll spread out for hundreds of miles in giant forests, but it's all basically one giant root system with individual trees like poking out, but it's one interconnected thing.
And it's like, kind of a moss thing as well. There's a moss or a fungal thing that the same thing, but they're basically they're using it as a system of communicating. I feel like we just don't understand half the stuff that we're dealing with anyways. Well, I don't, but I'm sure other people understand more than I do. But there's certain elements that we just haven't cracked the code on a lot of these things.
And I think it's kind of silly too to assume that life or like our way of being is like the only way or the right one or things like that. Because like who's to say that like maybe these giant complex plant life don't have a sort of consciousness of their own that just doesn't express itself in a way that we understand.
Or time. They say that different animals perceive time differently because time is a perception of like how fast your brain can process its inputs. So like a hummingbird, I'm pretty sure doesn't see time the same way we do. Like they're flying around like like so fast that you can't even see them, and then they can stop just shy of hitting something. Like, it's just our brains wouldn't process something that fast. It's just their perception of time probably is like us, and they're looking at us, and we're really slow. So we're looking at trees, and trees are probably moving super fast according to their time, right? I mean, a tree that lives 5,000 years, if you compress that down to 100 years, they're probably like shaking hands and bending over and seeding each other and stuff. Like, what are these things that are moving around like hummingbirds, and it's just humans running around through the forest?
Right.
Well, and as we get more and more, there are more and more on the planet, it's becoming more and more pronounced how we're damaging their systems. So you sort of start wondering if maybe it's not that we haven't encountered aliens yet. It's just that we're so freaking young in the scale of things that we haven't even registered for them yet.
That'd be funny. There's actually aliens in front of our face right now going, hey, can you see us? Can you see us? But our spectrum of light in our physical universe, we can't interact with them, but they can see us because it's just the part of their sensory.
That's actually a legitimate thing. Yeah. There's so much that our biology just isn't capable of perceiving. And so like we could get into talking about like multiple dimensions and things too, but
sure we will.
Which is, I think, a matter of perception, right? Because if you're going to count, up, down, left, right, and back and forth, and then time, well, who's to say that like those, I don't know, it doesn't I don't know. It's just it's such a weird thing to wrap your head around.
They've said they've come up with 10 dimensions so far. Is that right? There are 10.
It depends on the theories you want to look at. There can be many, into the tens at least. I don't know, because it depends on which
time, and then you get
interpretation you want to get into.
Well, the space-time thing, I watched a lot of videos recently because someone just threw the word space-time around, and I realized that I've said it for so long, like with Stargate and other stuff. I'd never truly understood, and I'm not sure that I still do, exactly what that means. But there was a great animation that showed you how, basically by using animation, how it's like taking a stack of cards. And it's like you could see the guy moving, and then if you were to like just sort of come above the cards and look down, you would then see the time as as part of the same thing. Yeah. Right. So it was an amazing thing, but there's so many terms that we just take for granted that we don't truly understand the nature of, even as we use them on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think Futurama actually got it right. I think time travel isn't going back in time, it's going forward in time. Because if everything starts, like if Big Bang is true and everything starts from a single singularity and a single point, and every single particle moves at the same speed in the same direction, and all the variables are exactly the same, then you would get the same result. The same life would form on the same planets would form. Like, as long as the physics were reserved and everything else influenced each other exactly the same, you would get the same result every single time. So if Big Bang happens, the whole universe expands, cools down, and then contracts, and then it becomes infinitely dense, and it does it again. It'd be like a piston in an engine just going over and over again. It's like, and the same thing could potentially happen over and over. So if you want to time travel, you just got to basically go through some kind of a singularity that basically makes time stand still for you. Well, everything else is moving by until the whole Big Bang happens, and it all plays out again, and then you pop out just shy of where you were, and then technically you traveled back through time, but you didn't really. You went forward, and it's a whole new thing. Everything's been destroyed, but it's exactly the same. So it's indistinguishable to you from what. There's weird ways but Futurama kind of did that, and I was like, God, that kind of oddly makes sense a little bit. Like, if you think about it, because if you do something, if you understand everything, if you start a chemical reaction and you know every single variable in that chemical reaction, you can predict exactly what's going to happen. Imagine if you knew every variable in life, every particle of every piece of matter, where it is and how it influences the other matter. You could predict the future. Yeah, you'd be able to predict the future with 100% accuracy if you knew every single variable. Oh, wow.
And eventually we're going to get there, right? Whoa, 50. Is that euros?
That's 50 euros right there. Hey, Nils, thank you.
That'd be some real money.
Real money.
Hey,
Dave. He said, David Barnacules, been following you for a few years from either SG Ages and MS stuff. Awesome, and seeing you guys together, just freaking awesome. Nils, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks, man. That's super great.
And show AuxxZillary a little love too, because he built the computer that made this possible. So we got to throw him a ham.
And he's got the hair for all of us.
He does. Technically, we're all jealous of his beard growing abilities.
That's what it comes down to, really.
He has very.
I don't know. David's got a good mustache going on there.
I had no idea it was so disturbing.
Give us one of these.
I need to. Yeah, but it's not. That's the problem. That's cooler. This is a horrible kind of like a fluffy. It's.
Yeah, I think you just drank a bit of milk there. You just wipe that off.
That's
it. I'm calling it right now. When David's movie comes out, I'm calling it right now. I bet you he pulls up in a white van that says free candy on the side, and I'm gonna be like, I called it. That's gonna be like his role.
No, I'm waiting to see the marks. I'm waiting to see. I think you mentioned this.
I did.
To see the marks from the masks on close-up after.
No way.
Yeah, because of course makeup's freaking out because we've got these freaking things on our face, and you take them off to go shoot, and sometimes they get a chance to get in and patch you up. Other times they don't. They're going to be like digitally removing. There's going to be like you make a fortune in getting and removing the mask lines from these things.
Well, hopefully they got better at removing facial hair than they did with Henry Cavill and Superman.
Oh, that was
so bad.
That was so bad.
That's probably why he's building a PC.
I can never unsee it.
It reminds me of those old, like I guess cartoons where like they would cut out a mouth out of a still frame,
annoying orange.
And it's just like
no,
it's so bad.
They overly smoothed it. It looks creepy because like his face got all this texture to it, and then it's all smooth. It's all smooth around his mouth. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, he was doing I think he was doing a James Bond movie.
Mission
at the same
Impossible.
time. Oh, Mission Impossible. It was Mission Impossible, and he had a mustache, so
Yeah.
they had to digitally remove his mustache in like half of the movie.
And that's because it was like a fight between like Paramount and Universal or something, and because I think they tried to stick it to Universal and wrote it into the contract he can't shave his mustache. And so like to try and fuck over the other production company, and it's like, come on, you guys.
You just use like a fake mustache. I mean, just stick a freaking mustache.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like they put mustaches on people every day. Like that would have been cheaper than like $1 million in like bad CGI. Or I should say like $20.
Even just CG to fix up just fixing up the seams if it's not a very good fake one. I mean,
right?
Yeah, it still seems like it'd be easier overall.
I'm so sorry to do this, but given that I snuck away to do this without my wife knowing, apparently, anyways, I should probably motor.
Bro, you can get out of here anytime you want, man.
Am I right? It's been a couple hours, right? Is it been?
We're at noon.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's 2 hours.
Yeah, you're good, man. Duck out. I can resize the windows and everything.
I could talk all afternoon. I feel that given there was a small argument about this before, that I should probably bow out a little early.
Just remember, David, throw me under the bus. Just throw me under the bus.
I do all the time.
Good. Absolutely. That's what I'm for.
What will they do without me?
Yeah.
What have they done for years without me? I don't know. Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. So
thank you for being
here.
We
appreciate it, man.
great.
We really appreciate it.
Well, and it's amazing. You guys are worse at the squirrel thing than I am. Like it's amazing.
That's never going to change either.
Our topics are everywhere.
The topics just fill in the title. Like it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's just clickbait to get people
What was in
here.
the title, by the way? I didn't even check out the title. What was the title?
Let's see. Life on Venus, TikTok banned tonight, and Nvidia GPU
TikTok.
scalping.
Yep.
But is TikTok actually? I thought he pushed it to November or something now.
He changes his mind every 5 minutes.
Just to touch on it real fast,
Yep.
the Apple and Google have to take it off of their app stores at midnight, and then at November 12th, they are being forced to shut down service. They'll block their service.
I better download it now while I can.
Yep, get it while you can, man. Get that TikTok.
Well,
even if you don't think you're going to use it, just get it so you have it.
Yep.
I think I might have deleted Fortnite, unfortunately, because that was the other one that you're allowed to get now.
Oh, you ain't getting that one back.
Apparently, they're selling phones with Fortnite on it for like a.
I've seen that.
I've seen that.
Yeah. If you have Android, you can still sideload it. So.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could jailbreak your iPhone just to put it on your. But I wouldn't.
Oh, probably.
Right.
Yeah. There's no way I'm doing that. It's the entire point of getting an iPhone is to let someone else worry about all this crap. The Android is fun for it, but yeah. Well, look, yeah. Sorry. So I will say.
No, it's cool.
Yeah, I'll say adieu. This is as always lovely, and if I can come back, I shall. You know it.
Anytime. You're always welcome. Take it easy, bud.
All the best, man.
Bye.
Cheers.
David out. Should we just leave him frozen in the middle like that?
Yeah. He's still here with us.
He's here with us in spirit. I feel like I should do like a little text overlay on there. And just be like, hold on, let me see if I can find one here. So text overlay. Let's see. Oh no, that one I'm using. Let me find one.
It's a good picture too. He's all aw.
It is
nice
too.
sweet.
It is. It works perfect. So here, let me see. Add text. Let's see. What the hell? Okay, text GDI plus found it. Okay, add source.
There it is.
I want a new one. I want a new source. We're gonna call this David in Spirit. All right, add source. Okay, so now I should be able to type in whatever I want here. So David doesn't move anymore. Hold on here, Lucy. Let me scale it. I do a little scaler there. I'll move it down. All right, let's see. There we go. You know people are just gonna be blowing up the chat on this one. Okay, damn it, man! This scaling code is the worst in OBS. Oh, it's so bad.
Instead of trying to change the size of the label, change the text size in the properties of the label.
Got it. I got it.
Because otherwise, blowing it up, you'll get it rasterizes really bad. Yeah, that's better.
Okay, so let me shrink this down a little bit. There we go. There. I mean, it doesn't look great, but it's fine. It just even doesn't move anymore. I love it, dude. I love it. Well, shit. You mind if I use the pisser real quick, and then we're gonna hit these topics?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it. I mean, these are some good topics, like the TikTok thing. That's great. And the GPU thing I want to talk about because that was hilarious. What happened?
Yeah. You go on that one.
All right, I'll be right back. Gotta go drain the weenie.
All right, let's see. Oh, excuse me. It's not funny. What's not funny? But yeah, I was just holding still. I wasn't frozen. It was fun. Dude's lag is terrible. Yeah, that's what it is. I just released a ninja. Ooh, Hooper. That's gross. I love David being part of the game. Yeah, me too. I think it adds it's just a perfect dynamic for everybody to kind of talk and back and forth, and it just adds an extra little bit of different perspective, different opinion. He's so much fun to talk with. This is so much fun. I was the first person I knew to hack the iPhone. I remember jailbreaking I had the old iPhone 3G. I jailbroke it and messed around.
I'm back.
Well, welcome.
Oh,
why didn't they put a CAPTCHA at the end of checkout for the 3080? But honestly, it wouldn't have mattered much. Look, people are going to subvert the system regardless.
Yep. As a matter of fact, I know people that paid people, like on Craigslist, to just go into stores and just buy the stock off the shelf. Well, because it was one per customer.
Yeah, there's always going to be ways of getting around that kind of a thing. It's what do you do? Yeah. So, do you want to talk about the scalping?
Hell yeah. So, a lot of people are mad about this, including me, because
Burma, 20 euros.
What's that? Oh shit.
Nils. Thank you.
Nils, my man. Thank you. We appreciate that. Dingo on my 40. Thank you for the $2. So we need a Sequest. I do miss Sequest. That was a good show. Did you ever see that, or is that before you? I
know of Sequest. I was too young to watch.
So my wife had like a huge crush on Jonathan Brandis. Unfortunately, he didn't. I won't go into it, but he ended his life, and it was terrible. But he was actually a really talented actor. He was like in everything back in the day. Why can't I see? Did Nils put a message, or did he just tip? Because I don't see a message.
Just tip.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. Miss Liz, thank you for the 5 Canadian dollaroos. You are amazing. So, anyways, I wanted to get either a 3080 or a 3090, and the goal was I was going to go ahead and buy one, and then I'm just going to sell my 2080 Supers for like the $35 they're worth, and then whore myself out on the internet to pay for the 3090. Well, I went and looked online at the 3080s. They're sold out everywhere, like as expected. They're sold out everywhere.
Minutes.
So I immediately thought, it must be the cryptocurrency guys. Well, I went and did some research. Cryptocurrency has nothing to do with it because the AMD cards are so much more power efficient for Ethereum hashing, which is the only real cryptocurrency anybody cares about that's GPU based that can't use an ASIC. Well, I shouldn't say can't use. They've figured out how to do ASICs, but they're expensive. They're prohibitively expensive. So people are building these rigs with AMD GPUs. So why are all the 3080s gone? Because all manufacturers seem to release at the same time. Nvidia said they've been manufacturing for a long time. Like they want to make sure they had a supply. Well, the answer is the scalpers. Yep. So what's happening is everybody bought up all the inventory knowing that people would want the 3080 and even the 3070. They bought them up and they're putting them on eBay, marking them up to like $1,000, $1,500 for a card that should be $500. Yeah. $500 to $800, depending on whether you want 37 or 3080. So they're marking them up to these obscene prices. Well, the community had enough of this shit because this is what happens every single time a new GPU comes out. Either cryptocurrency gets it, or you have the problem with the scalpers. So what they did is they went and created a bot network that flooded eBay with fake auctions. And the fake auctions are for the retail price of the card. And in the title of the auction, it says, do not buy a 3080 from eBay. And then it has all the information about the scalpers and how they operate and how they're hurting the industry. And they basically created so many auctions that it basically pushed all the scalpers to the bottom. And then if you do find a scalper, the bot network went through and bid buy it now on every single the second a card goes on eBay, they immediately hit buy it now, and then leave a 1-star review saying that the scalpers are fucking over this whole thing. And so because once you do buy it now, you can leave feedback immediately. So they do buy it now. So anybody that's listing a 1080 on eBay right now is immediately having the auction end with a buy it now from a bot, and as fast as eBay's taking them down, new bots are coming online. And so they're basically just forcing them off of the platform so that they can't move and sell these cards at a higher value. And so they did not expect this. The scalpers didn't expect this. So they're trying to figure out how to offload these cards. So you're seeing them on Facebook now for sale. You're seeing them on Craigslist for sale because everybody goes to eBay because that's like the easy way to just flip a buck, right, and ship these things out. But they're finding that eBay is no longer a safe place to post these auctions. And the best part is every single one of the scalpers that does this, because a lot of the eBay accounts have done this before. It's not like there's some new eBayers that are getting on it, but it's the same scalpers every time. They just buy pallets of these things and get people to buy them and then sell them at a huge increase. They're getting their ratings pushed down to 1 star, which means they're not showing up in search. So because, they put up, they're trying to sell like 100, like the same guy will try to sell 100 2080s that he acquired, and all of them get it buy now. They all get 1 star, and now his rating instantly goes from like 4 or 5 stars down to 1 star. And then nobody wants to do business, and nobody will bid on a future auction when they open it up. So somebody figured out how to like basically game eBay's system to push these guys out. So they're not able to use eBay anymore as like a safe haven to traffic in goods, which is great because the scalping hurts the market. Because it hurts Nvidia, it hurts gamers, it hurts the people that legitimately use these cards. Same thing with console releases. Like scalping is a bad thing. It hurts the industry. Yeah, it's basically like piracy.
Yeah, but like, what do you do to like fix it? I mean, you got the same deal with PAX tickets. You get the same thing with sneakers. Like the sneakerheads have been dealing with this for freaking ever. And what do you do? How do you reduce bot? Like I just found this article on PC Mag. There's a group called Bounce Alerts that created a bot that and there's some evidence that maybe somebody bought 42 of these cards using a bot created by this company called Bounce Alerts. And like, what do you do when their bot literally like spoofed itself as an actual user? Yeah. Like, how do you? I mean, there might be, looking at some of these screenshots and stuff, it looks like the profile names are a little sketch. But like, how do you weed out the bot whose entire purpose is to look like a real purchase? How do you filter that out from a real purchase?
I think the irony is it's a space race, right? It's like every time the bots get a little better and they figure out a technology to do this, then the other side tries to create a countermeasure to combat it. It's just like with security vulnerabilities and stuff like that. It goes back and forth, but I don't think we ever stop it. I don't think you'll ever stop it because I think humans are clever enough that they're always going to find a workaround. But I think what we will do is we'll slow it down and we'll at least make it inaccessible to the majority. So, which will still help overall. I mean, not one person's going to get all 10,000 cards and be able to successfully sell them somewhere and move them. But it's just like the guys with the toilet paper. Remember during the COVID thing, like everybody was hoarding toilet paper and selling it for like $80 on Amazon. Amazon was like, "Fuck this, shut them down."
So dumb.
Yeah, and like one of the guy couldn't return any of it. And he literally ate it. He lost like $10,000 in toilet paper because he bought it all. And the store was like, "No, we're not taking it back. Like, even though there's a credit, we're not taking it back because this is bullshit what you did." And he couldn't move his goods because they shut down his Amazon store, which he was also selling other stuff on. So now he lost his Amazon.
The hand sanitizer guy, like, had like, that's right.
That's right. So and toilet paper. There was a bunch of guys that did this. They cornered the market. There was one guy, he literally, I think this is the hand sanitizer guy. He drove to like 4 states in like 24 hours. He drove nonstop, went to every CVS and bought out every single hand sanitizer that they had. So that he could go back and list it on his Amazon store, and he was selling it for like $80 or $100 for like a $4 bottle. And so when Amazon shut him down, he went on the local news and he's like, "Well, I'm ruined because, my whole plan was contingent on me selling on Amazon. eBay now has a rule that says I can't sell on eBay. So my only option now is to put it on Craigslist, and I can't do that because people are showing up to my house and threatening my life and shit." So the dude's like, I'm screwed. And it's like, I don't feel bad for the guy because it's like, dude, you literally were buying something that people relied on. Like, and that's a little bit different. Like, I'll say that scalping GPUs sucks. It's bad. It's terrible. But it's like scalping something that people need for like a pandemic, like something that's actually like medically necessary. That's a whole different level of fuck. Those people honestly like rot in hell. But the GPU guys, they still need to be stopped because as long as this becomes a market that can be controlled with supply and demand from like individuals, You're always going to run it. That's because like big companies will be like one per person. They know they're going to move the product over time, so they don't have to like do this price gouging and stuff. They'll do price fixing so that other markets can be resellers and compete, right? And make a little profit. But when you have a scalper, the problem is they buy up everything and then they all price fix it between each other so that they can pull a huge margin, and that margin isn't justified in any way, shape, or form because they didn't do any of the R&D. They didn't develop the product. They didn't do anything. All they did was literally just invest capital in cornering a market and controlling the price of it. And you could argue that, oh, that's what we do at the stock market every day. And honestly, like to a degree, that's actually true. But when it comes to something like a technology moving forward and advancing, it's really hard to further advance a technology when you're keeping it out of the hands of the people that need it to advance that technology. And that's what you're doing with that price fixing. Like if the only people that can buy a graphics card are the people willing to pay $1,500 for a graphics card, those aren't going to be the people that are actually buying them and doing the dev work and creating the content. And if they're not out there, people aren't going to create content for it. So that's another problem you run about. It's if you don't get all the cards out into the public and everybody has them across the entire gamut of gamers, you're not going to have the technology getting better and growing and being fixed and being advanced. You're basically going to end up with just like one aspect of the community having that technology, and then it's going to go nowhere. AMD had this problem, like with crypto mining. Crypto mining like crippled AMD pretty bad because they were selling every graphics card, which was fine. I mean nobody had them for gaming. So game manufacturers literally were not implementing any of the features that like the AMD graphics cards would take advantage of because nobody had them that were gaming. Everybody was mining. And you don't want that happening with like Nvidia and stuff like that. But this time it wasn't cryptocurrency. To my surprise, I thought it was crypto.
Right.
It wasn't. It was just rampant scalping, man.
I do think part of the problem here was no pre-orders. I feel like they could have done pre-orders, which would have given them time enough to filter out bad actors, would have given people at least they would have set an expectation. Look, we have a lot of pre-orders. It's going to take us a long time to send them all out. Yeah. But we can at least tell you where you are in line. You know, we've got your order. We won't charge you until we ship. You know, here's your ticket number, like at the meat market or whatever. And when we get to your number, we'll ship it out. Yeah. And you have an idea. You are number 492 out of 10,000, and you'll get it when you get it. This was just, it might as well have been Black Friday for the fucking 3 laptops that are $100, and it was bad.
Yeah. The other thing that they should do too is they should literally like the receipt and the person who purchased it is the only person that can redeem the warranty on that product until the secondhand market hits. So like basically literally say for like the first year that you buy that card, you cannot sell that damn thing with the warranty intact, because then you're going to have less people buying it like brand new for like $1,500 because they're not going to want to risk getting a card that has a defect that they need to send back and get replaced. So then that's basically moving the onus of the warranty onto the person who's selling you the card instead of the company itself. And by doing that, now the scalpers have to assume some risk. Because that's the problem is the scalpers, you know what they do too? This is the other thing that really pissed me off about the scalpers. They'll go buy all these cards, and then whatever they don't sell, like they'll put them at obnoxious prices, whatever they don't sell that they can't dump because the market collapses at a certain point, right? Everybody has them. Then what do? They go back to the store and they return them, and then the store gets this massive influx of stock, and then they have to like fire sell everything because they can't move it.
Yep.
So and Costco put a stop to that. That's why Costco, you can't return like certain electronics like gaming consoles and stuff. You can exchange it for another gaming console if it's broken, but they won't give you a store credit on things like that in TVs because everybody was just going and buying up all the TVs for like Super Bowl and like returning them the next day. So there is stuff happening to kind of lock this stuff down, but you can tell that Nvidia really hasn't done anything this generation to really stop scalping.
It blows my mind too that they came out and said, "Oh, we've been manufacturing these since August." Yeah. So I guess it's only like a month worth of production, and who knows what their production like capability is. But like,
and everybody else is making it too at the same time. It's not delayed.
What kills me is the unprecedented. Like, oh, we didn't know this was going to happen. This literally happened last time. The 20 series cards all sold out within minutes, and they put a bunch of restrictions, and there were pre-orders, and nobody could get them for months. Like, you can't. It's the same argument with MMO releases too. We've been doing this for 20 years. Yeah. You can't tell me that you didn't know your servers were going to get slammed on day one. that's an unacceptable excuse anymore. Like, you can't tell me that you didn't know this was going to happen. You did this on purpose. Nvidia 100% knew that this was going to happen. 100% knew that what they were getting themselves into. They, with the choice to not do pre-orders, to the announcement of the day and time that it was going to happen, they knew. They knew.
Also, don't understand why were they selling them cheaper than the last generation when they knew they would get the money. Like, Nvidia, literally, if they knew the scalpers were going to do this, they could have just charged $1,000. They still would have sold every single card.
I think it's a bit of a slight apology to the consumers. I think the RTX, the original, the 20 series cards was new tech, and I think they were trying to make a little bit of their money back on the research and development and all this stuff. And now that it's proven and people like it and they are using it for not just the gaming side, but also the scientific community, the tensor cores and whatnot. The whole RTX thing is fantastic for machine learning and AI. Now they're like, okay, it's the economies of scale, I think, sort of thing. Like, it's a proven thing. We know what we're doing. In fact, I think it's getting smaller. Even these 3000s cards are using a better lithography. It's like 8 nanometer, I think, versus the 10 on the previous. I am sure Chad will correct me. I know I'm not quite accurate on that, but it's just better. Where they can probably make more of them per die cut or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something tells me there's a lot more GPUs this generation than last generation, though. They've been preparing for this, but it still wasn't enough to stop the scalpers.
Yeah, and I think.
Thank you, Connor.
I think it's not just the scalpers either, but I do think that the way that they handled this launch was it was ruined by scalping for sure.
Yeah, they definitely didn't do anything actively. Like, Nvidia didn't even come out publicly and be like, "Oh, people that are caught scalping, we're not going to honor warranties. We're not going to honor that." They could have done a lot of things to basically like make it harder for the scalpers, like push more risk onto them. Because the biggest problem is if there's risk, the scalpers will still take it, but there'll be less scalpers the more risk they have. If they know they can't return the cards, and they know that the warranty is voided on the cards if they're actively caught scalping them, like all their inventory, then they would be assuming more risk.
They did say that they are manually reviewing the orders to try and stop scalpers, but like when there's a bot out there, or multiple, I'm sure, that is specifically designed to replicate. I mean, it doesn't matter any angle you look at it. Right. You can spoof a bunch of emails. You can spoof a bunch. You can have them shipped to different addresses. Yep. It's all you and your buddies' buddies, or fake address that all ends up being forwarded to a warehouse somewhere. Like every way that it would look like a legitimate customer, I feel like a nefarious solution can be found. So how do you filter out the scalpers from the legitimate purchases?
And you can't. You just have to make it harder. That's all you can do, is just make it harder, and you're always going to still have the scalpers that'll take all the risks and do all the things. Because if they have humans do it, there's no way to track that. There's no way to track that if you put a thing like on Reddit or whatever, and you're like, if you message me, I'm going to PayPal you this much money, you buy me a GPU, you mail it to me, and I'll give you $100 extra. If you do this for me, like, I'll go to your stores in your little communities where there might not be a lot of people that are buying those cards. So like with the Nintendo Switch, I remember when the Nintendo Switch came out, people were doing that. They were going to like Podunk, Walmarts, and Kmart's, like out in the middle of like these, these farming communities that nobody there buys Nintendo Switches. So there's like still like 8 of them in the case, and then they buy them, they take them home and like put them up on eBay for like $50 or $100 more. And they sell them because they find them. And then on the eBay listing, they're like, look, we got like 20 of them. See our other auctions. It's really, really bad. Hey, Nils, thank you for the 20 euros. He said, with any GPU release, freelance CGI designers such as me who rely on GPUs are having a hard time. Everybody's looking for 3080s, etc. Just fucked. Yeah, and that's my whole point, is that if the only people that are able to get a hold of the cards are like these crazy hardcore gamers and overclockers and content creators that are willing to pay a huge overage for these cards because they can recoup their money on it, they're going to be the ones that get a hold of the scalped cards. It's not going to be the people that are doing the dev work. It's not the people that are like actually playing the games and utilizing the features and like fleshing stuff out. It's not going to be the community that the card is designed for. It'd be like if everybody went out and bought like an Xbox, right? Everybody goes buys an Xbox Series S because they want to play videos, right? Like they want to play a movie. or a DVD. Like that happened. Like when the PlayStation 3 came out, everybody started buying them as Blu-ray players. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because the PlayStation 3 was cheaper than like the next shittiest Blu-ray player. So everybody bought PS3s, but like nobody was buying games. Sony was like, fuck, man, we're not selling games. Like, what's happening? It's because like everybody was buying them as Blu-ray players, and then the gamers couldn't get a hold of them because the Blu-ray player guys were willing to pay a premium. They're like, oh, we'll pay an extra $200. We don't care because a Blu-ray player already costs like $800 at the time. So they're like, oh shit, we'll spend $600 for a PS3. And the gamers are like, well, we can't hardly afford it as it is. So it ends up putting the shit in the wrong hands that it was like designed and supposed to be in the hands of those people, right? So that's what I don't like about it. And the same thing's going to happen with gaming consoles. Like I guarantee you, Xbox, the Xbox Series X and S, and the PlayStation, when they come out, that like you're going to see the vast majority of them be on eBay. Like it happens with every console, but sometimes they don't win. Like I know on the Wii U they lost their ass. Like on the Wii U they tried to corner the market. It turned out like nobody really cared about the Wii U that much. They were all about the Wii. So you know they didn't sell a ton of them, and because of that, like they were always available. So the scalpers like started out asking like $3,000, and then like within like a day or two, the auctions were down to retail price just so they could try to recoup their money. And I wish that would happen with this, because like this sucks, because it's like I want now I could do the YouTuber thing and just go to Nvidia and say, hey guys, I'll review your graphics card, send it to me. But it doesn't really do me any good to review a graphics card and tell everybody how awesome it is if they can't get a hold of one. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's why I don't want to do that, because it's like, yeah, I'd get a bunch of views and everything because it's the new awesome thing, but I don't like making videos of stuff that's like, oh, look what I got and you can't have. Like, so no, I'm going to get one the legitimate way. Like I'm actually going to find one and buy one. Even though technically I don't have to.
Right.
Nils, thank you for the 20 euros. He said creators look for VRAM on the cheap. So no, just because it's a different GPU and etc., VRAM is essential for creators. So either an 80 or 90 for the VRAM. Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird that Nvidia did the whole like RAM deficiency on the 3070, but at the same time it allowed them to drop the price down to a crazy level.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I get it. I get the content creator angle, but I'd wait for the Quadro. Honestly, if that's your angle, squat on the 20 series stuff for now, and then wait for the Quadros to come out. If you're looking for, if that's your, he did say on the cheap, but it's like there's a lot of benefit to the Quadros too. You get better support from your applications. You get better support from the manufacturers. You get a better guaranteed lifespan. Like. That is true. Like the Quadro cards are the cherry picked GPUs. Like you're not gonna get anything that's more stable. Hell, I remember when the Quadro cards used to be passively cooled. Do you remember that? Oh you get a Quadro card, had a big heatsink on it, just used the air moving through the case to cool it, and it was like still the performance of like the other cards that needed like two screaming fans. So if you're a content creator and you're working in a room where you got speakers and stuff like that and studio monitors, you don't want like this whistling in the background, right? So you want a really quiet PC. Yeah. Let's see, Nils. Thank you again. Wow, Nils has really been throwing down. Thank you very much, Nils. We appreciate that support with the super chats, man. Huge. He said, "AuxxZillary, my man, really cool. Your WS stuff and etc. Love, some love to the U2. I build systems too, and I do CGI stuff. Having some 3090s. Act Tomorrow nerd stuff. You're talking like for WS, you mean workstations? Yeah, I think he means workstations. Sorry. It's like he's busting out all the acronyms today. 3090, man. Actually, I'm not allowed to say anything until the 24th. So yeah, I want a 3090. 3090 is what I have my sights on for two reasons. One, the RAM. It's got 24 gig of RAM on it. Like, dude, that's going to future proof you all kinds of ways. Yeah, I can't say. Oh shit! I'm just kidding. There's enough public information. Okay, because I was gonna say if it's 12 gigs split between two GPUs or something, I'm gonna be pissed. It's 3.75. Actually, it's not 4 gigs. It's, okay, it's all about the format. But anyways, it's a shitload more RAM than you're gonna get on anything else. And the fact that it has an NVLink, even though I'm not going to use it initially, the secondhand market for the 3090 later down the road, it would be nice to grab another one NVLink just for compute stuff. Like I'm not expecting SLI to ever be like, you can tell Nvidia the fact that they backed away from NVLink on the 3070 and the 3080. They're going to rip that shit out of like the control panel. Or at least they're not going to maintain it or change it. So I don't think there's really a life for like a real life for SLI gaming anymore or NVLink gaming. No, but they're putting the whole onus on the developers now. It if you are going to Nvidia is dropping support for their NVLink driver or whatever it is. It's going to have to all be built into the software that's being developed. Yeah, that is an official thing.
So they're literally going to pull out like the NVLink. So unless you as the developer detect and utilize NVLink yourself, there's going to be no benefit to having a second or third card.
Yeah, and they've been moving this way for years now. They've just been basically slowly pulling it away.
True, but even in my dual 2080 setup, like I played like Doom Eternal and Flight Simulator. I played Doom Eternal and X-Plane 11, and both of them are wicked faster with that second 2080. Like that second 2080 made like all the difference in the world. So I don't know if those games like specifically implemented it, but I did see a massive performance increase. So because one card can't do shit with either of those games with not DLSS. What am I thinking of? The ray tracing enabled.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although to be honest, the 20 series cards, like even the top one could barely do like 1080p with ray tracing.
Yeah. Which super stoked to see that we're getting like really good frame rates with all the goodies turned on.
Yeah. I saw a demo of the 30, I think it was the 3080. It wasn't the 3090, but it was playing I think it was Linus. Linus was playing the Far Cry remastered, and he was getting, with ray tracing enabled, he was still getting like 60-ish frames a second. Crisis. That's what it was. Crisis.
Yeah.
And I was like, even though honestly it didn't look that good, but the lighting effects did, and it's like that was the first time I've seen a game like maintain that frame rate at a decent resolution with ray tracing. Like ray tracing even killed like Doom. Like I remember playing the Doom demo and it ran like anus.
And so I just want to make a comment here real quick. Anuna Breslin Gaming in the chat says SLI is only good for compute, and even then it's like no. It's really unnecessary. There's I suppose it might depend on your machine learning implementation or whatever, but generally it's still going to do memory sharing and whatnot through the PCI bus. Dr. Don, the science guy I work with, he did do some testing with the 20 series cards in TensorFlow using NVLink, and it did show a benefit with four 2080 Ti and paired, right?
Yep.
You do see an increase in performance, but it's just not really worth it. It's not going to be a big. I think what ended up being the conclusion is like, yes, there is a benefit, but in the end, it isn't. In order to make it work, it wasn't really worth the hassle.
Got it. Sorry, I'm trying to like word this so it's like David's not with us, but he's still alive. There we go. Because somebody's like, you made it sound like he just died. Oh, there we go. So David has left us, but he's alive. Yeah. There you go. Okay, there. I don't think that'll leave anything else to suspicion.
And even the argument, so Luke himself says the reason SLI Crossfire was abandoned is strictly because it allows people to keep buying used GPUs. It doesn't sell new cards. I disagree. First off, from the developer side, it's really a pain in the ass to implement.
True.
Two, even if you're buying used cards, your performance gain will never, ever, and you can look back across years of collected data on this. Buying two old cards will it doesn't equate to spending that same amount of money on one good card, mostly because of the software implementation.
Yeah, because you're never going to get 100% scaling, like ever. That's unobtainium.
Devs aren't going to put the effort into it. It's
True.
Not most. Just look at consumer behavior. Most people, I'm on a 980 Ti. Still to this day, a respectable card. But I would rather jump up to a 1080 or a 1080 Ti, 1080 Super or whatever, and see that benefit where it's not going to be the same as adding another. You're not going to double the benefit by having two 980 Ti where you would probably see a more significant increase in performance by having one 1080 Ti.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
I think it's fair. I used to be a big champion of the NVLink and SLI stuff, but yeah, I haven't seen Nvidia really put the work in to do it on their side, and the developers, like you said, I'm not seeing them put in the work either, because they're more interested in the stability of single GPU performance than trying to go after like the 1%ers out there.
I feel like it's a similar issue with multi-threading. Yeah. It's really hard. So there's talk about, but DLSS and ray tracing isn't a pain. No, you're dealing with one card. You're only having to process and spread your data onto one thing. Getting two, it's basically like and I'm probably way off on this, maybe, but like it's a similar issue to distributed computing, like Beowulf clusters and stuff like that. You have to write your entire code has to be built to take advantage of essentially two computers or more if you're going to have 3-4 cards. And so it doesn't. And
there's an inherent overhead added in that too. Like in multi-threaded programming, it's like you have to you pick up overhead for each thread that you create, but the benefit of that might be more than the overhead. So it's again, it doesn't scale 100%. Like if you create 100 threads, you don't get 100 times the performance. You might only get 80 times the performance, even if you make it as optimized as humanly possible, just because of the additional overhead you have of creating and managing those threads and the resources they need. So I'd imagine that scales with GPU. But the thing with GPUs are ultimately like the most multi-threading you can have. Like, it's
literally physically structured to be parallel like that. But
doing it across two cards is difficult. That's the thing, because like one card, it's like it's all there, it's all super fast. They all share memory, share cache. But the second that you have to go through another bus and you have a choke point between the two, then you have to think a little bit more about what you're doing to coordinate those things to get a performance boost. And then nobody benefits from that other than the people that have multiple cards.
Yeah.
Then that becomes the problem. So even I've come to the point where it's like my next GPU setup in this will be a single GPU. Like, and I've always had doubles. Like even ATI Crossfire, Nvidia Surround, I always had 2 graphics cards going all the way back to like the 980. Like when I had the 980, I did the 980. Then I did 10 series cards, the Titan XPs, and then I did 2 2080 Supers. And now I'm going to go back to a single card because honestly, even if it did scale and it gave better performance, there are so many weird compatibility issues and bugs that these companies just will not fix related to multi-GPU. They just won't. Like even X-Plane 11, I was having problems with like the scaling. When I go in and I enable SLI and I do the, stretch the monitor across 3 screens, I still had problems with SLI enabled. You disable SLI, do the exact same thing, and it works fine. And so
that's what I mean. Even when it was implemented in games, I follow a few other streamers who would get, one in particular, Lyric, he got a dual Titan machine. This would have been the Pascal Titans, I think it was. The X little P.
Yep.
The little P.
Little P.
And he never used them. Because there was only like a handful of games that even had support for SLI, and when it did, there was all kinds of problems. And getting into work, and then you add, of course, onto the layer of all the other weird issues of streaming, a dual PC setup, and all that stuff. It's just not worth it. It was a good idea in the beginning when they had, I feel like, a closer relationship of scaling, but it doesn't make sense anymore. This generation. We see another 50% increase in performance. This is another huge step up in performance. Why would I buy 2 2070s and have them try and work together for a 20% increase in performance, spending 50% more than I would have on one 3070 or 3080 and get 50% the performance? It just doesn't make any sense.
And it's even more than the previous generation, right? Because it's like a 3070 kicks the shit out of a 2080 Ti, which is mind-blowing. Like how so Nvidia, like you'd think that they'd have diminishing returns, like each generation it'd be a little bit slower, right? Like but no, they're accelerating. The shit's getting like wicked faster. And I think a lot of it has to do with the optimization of RTX and ray tracing and DLSS. They're using all these other programmatic technologies to even stretch the efficiency and what they can squeeze out of these processors. So the processors themselves might not be twice as fast as the previous generation, but the way that they do their job and the way the software works with that is what's really evolving. And it's crazy. Nils, thank you for that. God, Nils is just going nuts on us today. Nils, thank you so much, man. Very much. Love this guy. He said, totally get the Quattro stuff. He said, I just passed Nvidia certification. That's cool. He said, nice. I'd go Quadro any day, just ECC. Oh, I forgot about that. The ECC memory. That's a big deal if you're doing stuff in production, because you don't want a pixel like turn them black on you or something like that and not know about it. Support for personal GeForce. Okay, so he's saying basically for his own means, the cost benefit outweighs the loss.
Absolutely.
But in professional, he'd go with the Quadro.
Absolutely. And there are many, many high-end professionals that have that same philosophy. It's cheaper. They'll burn out high-end GeForce cards all day long because it's cheaper to just replace them than it's worth. I don't know, the cost benefit analysis is worth it to them to just swap out, especially compute. It's better for them to just swap out these cards, literally burn them out and swap in a new one, because I imagine it's a delay, some sort of time delay in acquiring them or something. It's just cheaper and easier to swap them out when they break than have the longevity of a Quadro.
Yeah,
and the expense for them. Yeah.
Somebody was saying the 3070 doesn't necessarily kick the shit out of the 2080 because it's not that big of a disparity. I get that. Like the 2080 Ti and the 3070, they're close to each other. They're not. But when I'm saying it kicks the shit out of them, I'm saying it's $500. You're buying a $500 card that is faster than a card less than a year ago you probably paid like fucking $1,200 for. Like it kicks the shit out of it.
We still don't really know real benchmarking for outside of the 3080. I don't think we have any real data, right?
Actually, that is true.
It's still just marketing talk.
True.
Yeah. So
we may find out in the grand scheme of things that the 3070 actually isn't faster. It's just a few things that it's faster. Kind of like the 2080 is faster on a few things than the Titan XP, but then the Titan XP still whoops its ass on some other things, right?
And as we're finding out, exactly. As we're finding out that the 3080 being twice as fast.
Yeah. What? I've also heard some people talking saying the 3090 isn't that much faster than the 3080, but I don't know how that would be possible considering the clock speed is like fucking through the roof compared to it.
I can't speak to that.
Okay. You will be able to eventually though.
Yeah. Next Saturday we'll go all nutso on
the because the embargo?
Yeah.
When does the 3090 become available for purchase?
Oh, right. I forgot. I'm moving. So maybe.
so when does the 3090 like go for sale? Do you know the date?
I don't know for sale. I think the embargo lifts on the. I know the embargo lifts on the 24th.
Okay, so that's just for like the.
So maybe that's when it's sailing too. Okay. I'm not sure.
Because I think I'm gonna hold out. I think I'm gonna hold out for the 3090 because I don't want to upgrade my GPU for a very long time after this round. I want to get the two 2080 supers out of here. I'm gonna sell those, throw a 3090 in its place, and then just run with it.
It looks like it's also the 24th. Yeah.
Okay. And again, the scalpers are probably going to get them all. I'm hoping that because it's the more expensive card, that the scalpers aren't really going to go for it. Because I think the scalpers like cost benefit is going to be the 3070s and the 3080s.
Right.
So I'm really, really hoping that because the 3090 is not really targeting the gamers, it's more of like the benchmark enthusiasts, and that's why they still have NVLink on it and shit. I'm hoping that that'll be the card that kind of gets left alone. But I'm not holding my breath. These scalpers like surprise me. Yeah, they're probably
we're going to see the same. 100%.
Well, if that happens, then I'm going to option B. I am going to go to Nvidia and be like, "Hey, can I have a card?" So, like, if it comes down to it, and I can't fucking find one in the free market that I can even pay for, then I'm just going to bark up their tree and be like, "You guys got one in the back room there that I can touch?" Because I really want to mess with the 3090, especially with Flight Sim 2020. Like, I want to do Flight Sim 2020 across 3 screens, 4K. I want to try it.
I did see as a part of Linus's talk about the 3080 that it was with all the goodies turned on, you were getting 30 plus FPS at 4K and all that. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Hey, Mark, thank you for the $5. He said, I see it from a different perspective. Not that they're accelerating, but packing more transistors compared to die size. Number of transistors, 20XX versus 30XX. I don't know what the number of transistors are between the two generations, but I do know...
Ooh. It's a big difference.
Oh, really? So they shrunk this shit down big time.
It's a big and the next there's talk of I think it's TSMC is working. So it went from 10 on the 10 nanometer. I think on the 20, it's like 8 on the 30. Jesus. And TSMC I think is working on something around the 3 nanometer scale.
Oh my god, that's like hard to even believe.
I remember reading something about that.
And the thing is, as it goes down in size, power requirement goes down and heat dispersion goes down too, right? So
you'd like to think so, but then why is the 3070 a 350 or 250 watt card?
Well, I mean, it's got over 1,000. It's got over 1,000 cores, so like per transistor, it probably still works out less.
It's like Yeah, it's like technically, yes, it will use less power, but they're going to cram more transistors in there, so it's going to take more power, really.
So my theory is we're all going to switch to ARM like in the next 5 years because literally we need that power back from the CPU just to give it to the GPU.
Holy crap, that's going to be blowing my mind here pretty soon. So
Nvidia gets that, oh Jesus,
they did.
No. They said the UK still might try to block it. The UK government is trying to block the sale.
For antitrust issues or something?
Yeah, because they don't want China to have fucking they don't want China to have ARM.
But man, that's gonna be a weird situation in the coming years if that happens.
Talk about a monopoly.
Apple's gonna have to talk to Nvidia and work to license the ARM stuff for their new chips. How is that gonna work?
Dude, everybody will be in Nvidia's pocket. Everybody. Think about it, because Apple's going 100% ARM, right? They were already ARM or a version of it in their iPad and their iPhone, right? So they're already licensing that on some level. Now they're going to have to pay a license to Nvidia, which is their I don't know if you guys know this, but Nvidia is Apple's mortal enemy. They fucking hate them to the point where they don't even support their graphics cards on their desktops anymore.
Oh, I guess Apple has a perpetual license already.
Oh, do they? Okay, if Apple has a perpetual license, that'll have to be honored.
But will Nvidia have to keep that going if they make the switch? Like,
or like if they change something?
Say, no, we're not going to honor that anymore. Or like, yeah, you have a perpetual license on this old process. Like our new chips, you don't get to have, or
Yeah, there's a lot of gray area there that could happen. But then think about so you have AMD, right? AMD has Ryzen, right, which is 7 nanometer, which is like kicking the shit out of Intel, arguably dollar for performance for desktop computing. And they have AMD, which you also have RDNA 2 coming down the pipeline, which is going to be the next, every console is going to be driven by that. So a lot of games are going to support that and be optimized for it out of the box. So they have this going for them. But the thing is, ARM, Microsoft is already supporting ARM on Windows 10 with the Surface Pro X.
Yep.
So Microsoft has, since Windows 8, had an ARM build. Like, even though they weren't shipping it to the world, they were building ARM every single day for every build. So it has been built and it has been tested. So Microsoft can flip a switch at any time and just start selling licenses for an ARM build of Windows 10 that works. So now you have NVIDIA. And Microsoft actually has a pretty good relationship with NVIDIA. I don't know what kind of ground it's on today, but I know that they always were a lot closer than AMD was. So, and including Intel. So now you have NVIDIA. They're going to basically be able to take and build an in-house ARM, which they don't have to pay licensing because they own the shit. They're going to have an ARM processor system with NVIDIA graphics, probably like some kind of tabletop like Apple TV looking unit. And Microsoft will build an operating system that'll work on that. So now you're going to have Linux support. Linux already supports ARM. Windows will support ARM. And then you'll have OS X running on ARM because, of course, they're switching all their stuff to ARM. So having ARM is the future. Like, I can tell you right now with absolute certainty, ARM will replace x64 and x86 architecture. Like, undoubtedly. The only reason it hasn't yet is because to take that ARM and put it into place, you'd have to basically not use any of your old software. Like, you'd have to have software that was built and compatible with the ARM architecture because it's so radically different than x64. But now the ARM architecture, you have so many cores and it's so fast and it's so power efficient and so much shit has been offloaded to GPUs now that if they made that switch, it would be negligible to even emulate like the x86 and x64 to run the previous generation software, even with the performance hit. So ARM is it all the way.
Running compatibility mode.
Yeah, so how the hell, this is my question I got for you, AuxxZillary, is how the fucking hell did Nvidia buy ARM for $40 billion and you don't hear about any other company putting up a fight? Like, why didn't Intel try to acquire them? Why didn't AMD try to acquire them? It seems like why didn't Microsoft try to acquire them? They make a fucking ARM tablet.
Yeah.
It just blows my mind Nvidia was the one that got it.
I think because NVIDIA has a lot of pull and sway in the supercomputing and machine learning AI spaces.
Okay.
And so probably whoever it is that runs ARM or owns it, it's some sort of consortium, right? It's like a weird, fuzzy, nebulous group of people who own ARM now.
That's confusing to me. Like how you can even sell the entity, honestly. Like, yeah, but they did.
But I think it had something to do with that. They just have the sway in those spaces. ARM was kind of pooped on, and really is only part of the conversation recently because of Apple. But ARM now has the top supercomputer, and all that stuff. So I feel like it was always relegated toward mobile computing and supercomputing in that way, and so nobody really was looking at it. until Apple started talking about, well, we're ditching Intel and we're going to make our own chips. And so it kind of brought that to the consumer mind, and Nvidia just snuck in there. Nobody else was really paying attention,
man.
I think that's my angle on it. I'm not real deep into this sort of thing.
I think that Nvidia is going to get slapped with a monopoly if they go down this road and pursue creating their own ARM device. Which they already do. They already do. Like the Shield has what's the chipset called? It's an ARM derivative chipset. The Nvidia Shield has. And I know they had some problems with licensing, so it's maybe they're acquiring ARM so they can continue. Tegra. It's the Tegra chip. Which is also based on ARM, right? So here's the thing that I think is going to cause a problem with antitrust, or the monopoly anyways. The reason that they're going to call them a monopoly is because AMD and Intel both have a dependency on each other. So neither one of them is a monopoly. So AMD licensed x64 licenses x64 to Intel, and Intel licenses x86, which is the foundation of x64, to AMD. So they're already in a symbiotic relationship, even though they're competitors. So neither one of them can really edge the other one out. They both have the capabilities to create the same stuff. They can't, neither one. But Nvidia is literally going to own the processor that is in every single cell phone, every mobile device, every fucking little portable gaming system, every little TV or Google Chromecast. I mean, everything. The fucking world is already run by ARM at the mobile level. The only reason it hasn't proliferated to the desktop yet is just because of the software compatibility issues.
Yeah.
They would come up, and that's now going away. Nvidia will have no dependency on anybody. They own ARM outright. They own the GPU architecture outright. No, they don't depend on anybody. So if they create a device and Microsoft makes an operating system for it, everybody else is fucked. You instantly just fucked the universe. So I'm curious how they're going to deal with that, from a monopoly perspective. Because they tore Microsoft apart for literally owning a news network, right? MSNBC and Microsoft got hacked down the center because I think they got cut into 3 parts. Because they were considered a monopoly.
MSNBC,
because they created the operating system, they created their own devices, they used their own marketing to market those devices above their competitors, and then they even had the search engine that they were working on back then. Before it was Bing, it was called fucking Mukbang or something. I can't remember what the fuck name was. They had a really dirty name and they changed it. But they kind of own this triad of services that pushed out competition, and the US government stepped in and hacked them up. And I think that if Nvidia does this, the same shit's going to happen. They're going to have to. But how do you do that when it's a Chinese company?
Well, so it's I'm looking into there's this article from TechCrunch here. I'll put into the chat. So it looks like it's actually there's 3 SoftBank. SoftBank is the overarching group, and there's 3 arms. There's I'm just kind of skimming through this really fast. Yep.
And SoftBank is the UK owner of ARM before this transaction, right?
Yeah. Okay. And so SoftBank is headquartered in the UK, and then there's China and the EU as a whole have to approve all of this. Let's see. They're talking about doubling down on the engineering side of things, which is based in the UK. So that might help grease the wheels a little bit. Hey, we're going to bring a lot of good money to you guys if you make this okay.
It also says that they're not buying their Internet of Things division.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know what sort of things that they're involved in. I imagine things like the Echo Dot and your Google Mini and things like that.
Refrigerator integration and stuff like that.
So that's kind of cool.
So it looks like they're literally going after the computing market. They're ignoring anything that's standalone devices and niche things. They're going straight for just anything that's ARM computing, mobile or desktop.
Yeah.
This is crazy, man. I just think it's such a good buy too, because honestly, $40 billion for the next CPU architecture that we've already known for years is going to be the winner. Microsoft knew this. The only reason it failed with Windows 8 was because it didn't have the performance yet, and it couldn't run the software. And both of those issues have been solved. Now, Microsoft over the years, even Adobe products, Adobe Premiere and stuff, they've started rebuilding and foundation of all that stuff on .NET Core and shit. So it'll run on anything. So the whole needing to run software that's 10 years old isn't really a big deal for most people anymore. So, and the Surface Pro X, I haven't looked at it to see how good it's selling. I don't think very well because I haven't seen a lot of reviews on it. But the Surface Pro X is definitely still being supported by Microsoft and still being championed as a good, really long lasting battery tablet, right?
Yeah.
And it's expensive. It's I want to say it's $2,000 for a fucking ARM tablet. It's people are buying that.
Interesting you brought that up, because I've been seeing some pretty positive things about the Surface Duo, their dual screen phone that they just recently put out,
which is also ARM powered and runs an Android version of Windows.
It's an Android.
Which is how fucking weird is that? Like Windows and Android. Did you ever think you'd hear those two things together? It's
honestly
weird.
If everything does start moving toward ARM and like virtualizing x64 programs and whatnot, I could see my PC running some sort of robust version of Android.
Yeah, because Android's derivative of Linux, right? So I mean, so it makes sense just to take Android with all of its graphical work they've done and all the optimizations on these little mobile devices, you bring that to the desktop.
I've been saying this for since really smartphones really started taking off. We're right on the cusp of a seamless experience between your PC and mobile devices. You'll come home, you'll put your phone on a charger or on a dock, it'll connect to your network, and you'll be able to get all of your. You can do this in a mishmash sort of way right now, where all of your text messages and everything that you do on your phone can be done at your desk, can be done on your tablet, sitting on your couch. It'll all be the same thing. It'll all be seamless. Mm-hmm. The user experience will be no different. In fact, I could see where you use your phone as the input device to your main PC,
right?
Or whatever. Like it's all going to be a seamless experience. You got to go, and you're in the middle of playing Call of Duty on your PC. You just pick up your phone and you keep playing while you ride the bus to work or whatever. It's all going to be the same.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. Apple is making the smart move that this is the thing, that the beauty of Apple, whether you hate Apple or love Apple, this is the one thing Apple does really good, is they wait for everybody else to jump on something early and completely fuck it up because they jumped on it early, and then Apple bides their time and jumps on it when it's a reality. Yeah, because you have Microsoft, they released Windows 8 and 8.1 with the Windows RT tablet, and it completely fucking flopped because the software support wasn't there for it yet.
Yeah.
And then you fast forward a couple of years, and Apple is doing the exact same thing Microsoft did. They are switching their shit to ARM, right? And they have a marketplace, right? So it's like, but theirs is going to succeed because they waited until the right time.
And so Hanafi Din in the chat here says Apple already doing this 100%. Years ago, when I was doing mobile development, and they were talking to us about like there's a user interface and user experience like document that you have to abide by in order to write software for Apple devices. Yeah. Your buttons have to look a certain way. They have to be in a certain place. All of the apps all work basically the same because Apple tells you to.
Yeah.
Even then you could see that they were planning on a combination, and this happened. I noticed it with Mac with OS 10. They are looking to smush their iOS and Mac OS together. That is the future of Apple's. There will be, and they'll be the ones to do it really well. Honestly, because they crush it with their user experience, and their user interface is super great. It's just clean, it works, and all that good stuff. It'll be a great implementation, but yeah, it'll be seamless. Everything that you do on your iPhone will be done on your Mac. It'll all be the same thing. There'll be no difference. It'll all be the same.
And Microsoft did it first. They pulled the trigger too soon.
Oh yeah,
because the Windows Phone ran a Windows 10 kernel. The Xbox got moved to Windows 10 kernel. Like literally, Windows 10 ran across the entire ecosystem of products. But because the architectures didn't match, that printed a software compatibility issue, and their store fucking sucked balls. Apple has like one of the best app stores on the planet, even compared to Android. It's one of the tightest, most controlled, cleanest app platforms on the planet. Because of the control they have over. So Mark Wasfi has a $5 super chat. Thank you very much. And he says, I can do that now with Samsung DeX. Your phone is your desktop, literally. So there's a little bit of a difference there. What you're doing there is you are essentially just plugging your phone into your monitor. I know that's really reductionist, but I've played around with it a little bit. I'm still able to do a lot of the desktop related things by having my Samsung DeX plugged in like that, but it's not quite that seamless experience. All I'm really doing is making a tablet bigger, really. I'm talking about everything will be all the same. I won't have to plug run a special. It's an app that I run on my Windows machine to make my phone Yeah, you push a button on your phone,
monitor.
it replicates the memory from your phone over the network to your desktop. You have the exact same experience waiting for you on the desktop.
It's still pretty neat, and that is a step toward what I'm talking about. But we're talking, it will be the same, like in the same way that I can have my Chrome tabs on my PC show up on my phone.
Yep.
But everything.
And imagine if it's all the same architecture, that means that you could also start doing some localized cloud computing, where it's like you have your mobile device and you like open up a program and you want to like render your video for TikTok or whatever. It just detects that you have 8 other computers that you're logged into in the house on the network, and it basically starts divvying it out because all of them are running the same program and can do the same thing. That's
clever. Yeah. You could use while my phone is sitting in the charger, it could be crunching my video render while I'm playing games or something. I hadn't thought of that.
It's like right now on your phone, you can actually like do the terminal server, where you're playing on the computer and it's sending you the video and the thing. But what if you took it one step further, where the computer is literally doing all the work of rendering the game and stuff, but the program is actually running on the phone. Oh,
like Steam Link almost.
Kind of, yeah.
Right? Where the game is running on your PC, but you're playing on your TV.
Yeah, but imagine even lower latency, and you're playing Flight Simulator. You're playing Flight Simulator on your 3 screens, but each screen is being rendered by a different computer in your house over the network, and it's culminating it all together in real time and showing it on your screens. But your computer is running the main program, and everybody else is just background cloud computing because all the architectures line up. I mean, there's a lot of cool shit that you could do with that. Like, I mean, it's going to get to the point where, the average household is going to have so much computing power between all their devices. If there was a way for all those devices to run at 100% all the time, like when there's an actual workload, everything would be faster. Like, imagine being in Adobe Premiere and you're like scrubbing through your footage, and there's 8 other computers in your house, like your computer on your TV in your bedroom, your fucking computer that's built into your refrigerator in your range. They're all taking little tidbits of this and like doing it and timing it so it all comes together at the same time. So it looks like your computer has 1 billion horsepower, but it's really all of your computers working together.
Yeah,
clusters, man. It'll be awesome.
It'll be neat. All right, we gotta wrap it up, sir.
All right, let's do it, man. Let's wrap it up. It's been fun. Let me check here. Is there anything that we didn't touch on? I think we did in the topics. Just so you guys just recant. TikTok does get taken out of the marketplace tonight, right? So, and then you have
midnight.
So make sure you install TikTok, even if you don't want it, just to have it on your device, because who knows, you might be able to sell it on eBay for $1,000 if you can't ever install it again.
Unless something has changed in the last 24 hours.
Correct. So the TikTok thing, go check out information if you missed where we talked about life on Venus. Go check that out. That's actually pretty cool. And again, David's not with us right now, but thank you again, David, for joining us as a co-host. He's absolutely always welcome here. Anytime he wants, he can pop in here, even unannounced. Had a really good time. And AuxxZillary, you have yourself a wonderful week.
Thanks, man.
And thank you for all the support, guys. You will see us again next week. Same bad time, same bad place, 10 a.m. Pacific time here on YouTube /Barnacules 1. And if you want to see us anywhere else during the week because you're having withdrawals and you want to see our other shit we're doing, it is all in the video description. All the links to our Twitter, our Twitch accounts where we do streaming independently on there. And everything you need to know about us, minus our social security number, you can find in the video description. And we will see you guys next time. Oh, and thank you for the super chat. You guys, holy shit.
Yeah, everybody, serious
Thank
business.
you for the support, man. It means the world to us.
It makes a huge difference.
Thank you very much. It does. It gets us one step closer to that 3090.
That's right.
All right, guys, take it easy. And until next time, end stream, maybe, if it lets me here. And God, I got to push 20 buttons. Okay, hold on. I'm doing it. It's going to listen to